Are you tired of being subjected to rules and regulations that do not serve you or your family? Are you willing to go against the grain in the name of wisdom, freedom, family, honor, and trust? We provide simple solutions to complex problems. Take control of your own affairs in life. Tribe Up with Tribes and Trusts TV.
On our mission now, your time is up. Took us 400 years, had to size you up. Our word is born, no more dividing us. We now know what to do with all these tribes and trusts. I'm overseas with these tribes and trusts. Don't need no other keys but these tribes and trusts. Frequency, sovereignty with these tribes and trusts. Watch me get families free with these tribes and trusts. Overstepping your boundaries, I balance you. I'm bona fide, fuck a challenger. Sent the revocation certified, fuck a manager. In control of my soul, fuck a handler. All these assets that's held for the tribes and trusts. Prophecies get fulfilled with the tribes and trusts. Heard they get out of jail with the tribe and trust. Fuck around, get you nailed for the tribe and trust. On our mission now, your time is up. Took us 400 years, had to size you up. Our word is born, no more dividing us. We now know what to do with all these tribes and trusts. I'm overseas with these tribes and trusts. Don't need no other keys but these tribes and trusts. Frequency, sovereignty with these tribes and trusts. Watch me get families free with these tribes and trusts. Tribing up, we 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 tribing up with these tribes and trusts. We tribing up, 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 we tribing up with these tribes and trusts. We tribing up, put the tribe in the trust, manifesting this wealth with the tribe and trust. Resurrecting myself with these tribes and trusts. Ancestors left us these tribes and trusts. The people is wising up, free all the guys from cuffs. Tribes and trusts, rising up with tribes and trusts.
You heard the Mansa. Tribe up and take care of your own affairs in life. Your life depends on it. Your future depends on it. Your family depends on it. Establish your family tribes and trusts with Kyle Mansa, founder of Love Nation American Indians. If you need advanced or rush services, schedule a consultation.
Okay. We live. This is the first class. Really, it's going to be not even just a class. We're going to get into talking about family in a way that you probably never spoke about family. I ain't going to lie. It's some very interesting, I can really say it's going to be some very interesting concepts discussed today, all around the idea of family. Right now we tend to talk about family in a way that's pretty general. Everybody has their own idea of what family is, but I can say what we have kind of agreed on socially, collectively, is the idea that, say, family is those people that some people say family is the people that they love, right? Some people say family is the people that they love and who love them. Some people say they family, is they blood relatives, the people who are your blood relatives and blood relatives only. That's what some people claim. There's others who are so connected to their religion that they say their family is their religion. And, and other people who perceive that you know, they have the same way of believing spiritually and religiously. And then there's mixtures of what families are. Now, today, we're going to be speaking about family specifically from the perspective of what that term means in society, in its legal sense. Because at the end of the day, what I perceive from my perspective, you know, and everyone doesn't have to share my perspective, but I perceive that when people say family, what they mean and what we all tend to mean collectively and individually is something good, something amazing. And I'm not going to necessarily say good, but it's something very beneficial to the individual and to the group that they're saying that is their family, right? Whether that's just a strong bond of love for the family that you know that you share the same mother, fathers, and ancestors with, or whether those are the people that you came in contact with over your life and y'all built a strong bond and you like, that's my fam, you know, that's very important. Nevertheless, we're talking on this, you know, platform. We're going to be speaking from a legal perspective, not as an attorney, you know, more as an Aboriginal jurist or a jurist, that a person who has a overstanding of the law, you know, a cosmic jurist, you know, someone who has overstanding of the law, the cosmic law, someone who have overstanding of Aboriginal and tribal law, Aboriginal jurist. Yeah, we're looking at this from a real historical and legal perspective because it is my perspective and set of truths that people have been misled, okay, or led to believe that words mean the same things to everybody, and they don't. People have been led to believe that the general determination of what a word means, the social meaning, the in everyday life is what that word means legally. And it's very important to know that there's a difference because our lives are affected by what these terms mean legally. There are individuals, organizations who say manage our families or manage our households or manage our tribes or manage our lives or manage our situations that we're in. If we don't manage them for ourselves 1,000,000%, then there's other entities, other agencies managing things like to provide food, water, shelter, clothing, housing, security, or not providing it if they're not providing a great service when they're managing, you know. Yet at the end and the beginning of the day, let's take a look at what family means, man. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off as far as this screen, and I'm going to share with y'all a series of, let's just say, online research, right? A series of online research links. We're going to keep it pretty simple when it comes to the method of reaching this information, because information is out there for everybody to see. You know, it's all about who has the ears to hear something and the eyes to see something, and to see how it applies to them. So let's share the screen and get into this, right? Families. What is a family? Very simple conversation. Or maybe it's not going to be. Ain't no telling, really, because I could tell you for sure, I was putting together just some general links to share with y'all the perspective that I have over my years of research. It got deep real quick, and I'm going to just share this whole window, and we're going to see what it takes for us to go through this timeline, go through all of this data, okay? Let's see, is the screen sharing popping? All right, so let's take a look here. What we first going to do, I like to just look at the terms of words. Sometimes you just got to start off with what's the, you know, in the etymology of the word family. You know, when you look at what the word family, first off, it's a modern term. We all know we're dealing with English, and you know, some could say English came since time immemorial. You know, immemorial or not, since say BCE, the beginning of BCE. BCE. I mean, right after AC, right? In between BCE and AC, they say it's 2,000 years ago. And this idea, y'all, we're dealing with social constructs. Throughout this conversation, we're going to realize, well, it is my understanding that, and it's my perspective that what we're going to see throughout this is that the word family does not mean what you think it means in law, and we're going to realize that humanity has been duped by groups of beings who want extreme control in disguise as freedom, right? And I'm not going to get too deep into that. Nevertheless, we're going to get deep into what it really means in this modern world, okay? In this modern world, what does family mean? Okay, let's see here. It says, in modern English, okay, the modern English word for family is a relatively recent invention. Around the early 15th century, it replaced the old English word, which I can't pronounce, and well, I ain't gonna say I can't, hiwish, whatever, which were based on the notion of relationship. So it's a word that's based on the notion, or let's just say the idea of relationships. So it's based on the idea of relationships, as we can see, right? And it says that it was tied to land as well as being tied to land. So family was a word based on relationships that's tied to land. Yeah, so a lot of times when you even research your last name, you might realize that your last name was not based on blood. It's a name that was representative of a group of people that lived in a certain place at some point. I'm telling y'all, this is going to get real deep. And I don't want to give you a whole bunch of perspective in the beginning. Let's just read through some of this. But there were also different compounds with it, right? Which describes various relationships. So there's various relationship structures so it means various types of different families. Now let's get into this key aspect. In comparison with the variations which denoted a relationship by marriage, which described a divorce, okay, signify the community or members of a religious house. So you have a religious house or community houses. In comparison to that, the modern English word family. So we're talking about modern English word. We speak in English. English is a term that's utilized internationally more than any other language, right? So a modern English word family comes from the Latin word familia. Familia. You hear a lot of people saying that like it's a great thing. And familias, meaning slaves of the household. Boom, 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 boom. Man, as we grow, I'm gonna have some buttons. I need to press a button on this shit already. This is the first link. As y'all can see, we got multiple links to go through, and we're gonna see how we get through this because this is an amazing overstanding here. So it's saying the word family came from familia, right? Which means slaves of the household and slaves. This transformation from an Old English word to the Latin root word shifts the already existing association of ownership within a family from the land to the people of the family, while simultaneously underlining that the ownership is tied to enslavement. What? Look at this. Look at this. They're stating that the origin of the word came from a system that was in Latin where it shifted from the association of ownership within a family from the land to the people of the family. So the land was once owned by the family, then transferred to the people of the family, which simultaneously underlining that the ownership is tied to enslavement. So the family must be enslaved if the family was giving property to the person, a member of the family, and received ownership, but ownership is tied to enslavement. Hey y'all, this is getting deep and it ain't even got off the first page. And yeah, this is just an article, but let's see. Ownership is tied to enslavement. I know I heard before, own not to control everything. I know I heard that before. It says ownership is tied to enslavement. Okay. And family is a word that came from the word the word slave. Like literally. So real quick here, let's see. If you even Google the word family, it's right in front of your face. You Google the word family, and what does it say? Origin, late Middle English. Late Middle English. This is the time period where it came out. It also denotes the servants of a household or the retinue of a nobleman. So already real quickly, we're getting into some different segments, or let's just say degrees of family, right? Different types of family. Hey, a nobleman may not be part of the family because it says servants of a household or the retinue of a nobleman. A nobleman doesn't seem to be included in that word family, but hey, he may be. What's a retinue? A retinue of a nobleman, from Latin familia, which means servant. We went through that. So retinue is somewhere up here. I was going to be going in order, but let's see what the retinue means here real quick, because it say retinue of a nobleman could also be family. Retinue, what? A group of advisors, assistants, or others accompanying an important person. So basically, like, it's crew. Like hip hop artists got crew. So your crew. So the retinue is a body of persons retained in the service of a noble royal personage or dignitary, a suite of retainers. So, okay, we get into some retainers. So basically, independent contractors. So people who get hired to handle business on behalf of a nobleman is also part of his family, his retinue. And his family is slaves of the nobleman. Slave is a representation of somebody who is in the service of a nobleman, right? And that's interesting. So it's interesting when we look at this, that family has something to do with inheritance, because let's see where we go. Before I go there, I want to show you how we came to. I'm just jumping to that because this is deep. We're seeing that this is about slavery, talking about land already. You know, forget it necessarily. Don't forget it, but we'll get to there. Let me just keep going. There's a lot to go to. Inheritance is the practice of receiving private property, titles, debts, entitlements, privileges, rights, and obligations. But this is family business. The rules of inheritance differ among societies. So inheritance is a family. It's about family, and family is about slavery. And you feel me? These are terms where people are being owned and things are being owned, and who's going to get the property once somebody deceased. Okay. And law, the heir is a person who is entitled to receive a share of property from a descendant, a person who died. Okay. So family business is about maintaining the inheritance and keeping the inheritance going through multiple generations. But it's going to be interesting as we see what these terms mean and how they've been utilized to maintain a slave system internationally. And then we have to identify what we're going to do and how we can operate. I mean, because at the end of the day, we in this social construct, right, where these words have a meaning that's not just what we think they mean, but they got a different meaning as well. Okay. And inheritance is deep because that's what we're talking about, right? In the world, people are looking to get titles to themselves, titles to their property, titles to their children, right? People fighting to get their children ownership of their own child, right? That sounds like paying off a bill, right? So this all got to do with inheritance. Is the practice of receiving private property, the receiving titles, debts, entitlements, privileges, rights, and obligations upon the death of an individual. Okay, this is interesting. We're going to start to just connect this. They say death is the end of a life, right? I know we think we know what these words are really meaning, but towards the middle and the end, we're gonna see it's the death. It's an irreversible cessation of all biological functions. So it's when all biological functions is done, you can't move no more, it's death. And upon death, they say inheritance can occur for the benefit of people. And remember that family are members of a household, right? Members and slaves of a household specifically. And that's the origin of the word. What is a household? It says it consists of one or more persons. Well, you might be new to this process of researching words, but let's just get some general senses, right? It says person. Okay, we're just gonna get some, and we ain't gonna go too deep worrying about what dictionary we utilizing, because what I realize is the truth is written all over your face and everywhere you look. It's just all about how you choose to put this information together, right? And if you're blessed or not to have eyes to see. I don't like just taking all cookies. I'm rejecting them all anytime I can, by the way. All right. We use person, they say, in a singular form to refer to any human being. Keep that in mind. I'm not going to go too much further, but we think we know what a human being is, but they say human being. Just think human, a man of hue. Hue is dirt. So a man of dirt, that a being of dirt. Okay. At least that's one way of looking at it, right? But let's just keep going, because we talking about what a family is. A household consists of one or more persons. They say person is a human being. Oh, it seems simple. Let's just keep going. It may be of a single family or another type of group. Remember, family, okay, it meant group of people that's part of a slave, that's enslaved by the nobleman, right? Let's get a little deeper into that word, though, right? Anthropologists. So what anthropologists are categorizing these words is socialization, right? For the purpose of attachment, nurture, and socialization, they say families exist. They classify most family organizations. You see a family organization. Family is an organization. It's an organization of beings. And their world is an organization of human beings. As we continue to discuss this, we're going to see what is a human being in this English world system, this colonized type of world, but we living in a post-colonized world. So we literally just coming in back in time to communicate what all of this is, so people can get up out of the jam. Let's just say helping people get up out the jam, right? People is in the jam. But people ain't even really people. People identifying as people, but they're not really people. We got to find out, who are these beings? Remember, words can mean anything. What I'm here to say is what you think words means, you must document that and put that into some type of law, because according to law, words don't mean what you think they mean. They mean it's something different. This is about anthropologists. This is social terms that's trying to organize beings based upon their primary functions of the family, which is a group of people that's enslaved, right? Let's just keep going so this can unfold. There's households. There's different types of households, though. We got royal households, right? I wonder if everybody's slaves in the royal household, right? Because based upon the definition of a family are the people that's servants in the household, right? A royal household or imperial household is a residence and administrative headquarters in ancient and post-classic monarchies and papal households. So papal is the Catholicism, right, for popes, and formed on a basis for the general government of the country, as well as providing for the needs of the sovereign and their relations. Okay, so it was the core of the royal court. So we getting deep. We getting real deep, real quick when we start talking about royal households, because now I don't hear the word slaves. Now I'm not hearing this word slaves. I'm hearing something different. I'm hearing, if there's slaves in a household, then those slaves, I mean, if you got royal household, we're going to keep going. But I'm perceiving at this point, and as you're going to witness in this video and more to come, I represent an energy that can grow as new knowledge meets it. So the perspective that you are witnessing, it shall continue to evolve and grow. And that is a reflection of your capability to continue to evolve and grow at a very rapid rate, at the rate in which information is received. So at the rate in which information is received, that's the rate at which the growth can occur over here. And that's a reflection of growth that can occur in your world as well. All right, so we're talking about royal household now, imperial household. So they setting up government, it sounds like. It's the head honchos in the royal household. It's talking about forming the basis for the general government of the country. So a royal household is forming, it's a group of people that's forming the basis for the country. I mean, shoot, they meeting the needs of the sovereign. Okay, so now we're talking about sovereign because we talk about slaves. Now we're talking about sovereigns. So the slaves is part of the household, a regular household, evidently, because shit, we just researched household. We looked up household, y'all, and it definitely didn't say nothing about no sovereignty, right? But let's look here. A royal household evidently is maintaining and providing the needs for the sovereign. Sovereign is a monarch or a head of state. Okay, so state. So evidently there's a state. There's an estate. There's a state. And this state is ran by the monarch, which is the head of a royal household. So you got a head of a household, and you could be a slave in the head of a household, but you could be a monarch in the head of a royal household, having some sovereignty as a head of a state. And a state might be a household, huh? Well, it says a state, a head of state is the public persona. It is just the public persona, not the private, the public persona of a state or a sovereign state. Hey, so you can be a state and not be sovereign. This got something to do with families. All this got something to do with families. So you could be a state that's not sovereign or a sovereign state. Both of them can have heads of states. What is a state? Okay. It's stating that a state is a political entity that regulates society. Okay, so this is getting deep. State is a political entity that regulates a society. That basically, when you're talking about regulating a society could be any group of beings, any group of people, y'all. But you got some group of people that's part of a household that's evidently slaves, according to English law. And then you got some persons or beings that's imperial households as part of the monarch and sovereign. And they got states, which is a political entity. They regulate their society. And it says society, it don't say family. That's interesting, even though this is all interesting, right? At this point, a state is a political entity that regulates society and the population within a territory. So it has to have a territory. So a state is a political entity that regulates a society and the population within the territory. So what's the difference between society and the population? I thought they were the same. I thought the population was the people and the society was the people. But it says a society is a group of individuals involved in persistent social interaction in a large social group. So it's all about social group. They share the same spatial or social territory. So the society shares the same location, typically subject to the same political authority. So this already, we're talking about families, and we realize that families, the origin of the word is slave. We see that they say a household is a group of slaves. And they say that you got royal household, though, that's ran by a monarch. And even that household as a group of slaves, they can be led by a nobleman. And the nobleman may or may not be a slave itself. We ain't get that deep yet. But we see in a society like a state basically regulating people or persons or humans within a territory. And this is very interesting. It's going to get a little deeper as we go. Medieval household. It was like modern households, like modesty, because we in this modern day and age. And I'm going to tell you, myself personally, I don't really fuck too much with this modern type of way of life. When we say modern, we're talking about the way in which these social constructs have been forced upon us. I'm not saying, see, my modern way is probably some people's ancient way. I modernly, in my modern way, live as ancient as I can. You understand? And as I will that thyself to live, right? They talk about those medieval households, like modern households, was the center of a family life for all classes of European society, right? It was the center of family life. And hold on, we realize in family, we ain't gonna stop on that. We're gonna keep going. Yeah, in contrast to the household of the day, it consisted of many more individuals than a nuclear family. So imagine a lot of families, I'm thinking, huh? From the household of the king, okay, so there's a king here. So medieval household, we're talking kings. When we talked about a regular household, we were talking about slaves. And then we talked about royal household, we talking about a monarch that is in a household that runs the sovereign, that makes sure the sovereign's good. Now we're talking about medieval households, and we're talking about a king. A king is different than the sovereign, than the monarch, y'all. That's something to think about as well. And then you have slaves. According to this modern English society, and if you live in any republic of the world that has a caste system, which we're gonna get into later, this shit gets deep. More than likely, you part of a English system. If you anywhere around the world in a republic form of government or a government where they voting, pretty much. All right, from the household of the king to the humblest peasant dwelling, more or less distinct relatives and varying numbers of servants and dependents would cohabit with the master of the house and his immediate family. So you had a master of the house and his immediate family. That sounds like slavery like a motherfucker. They talking about the master of a house and his immediate family in there, but varying amount of servants and dependents would be in that mug again as well. They basically got a community of slavery going on in servants. But servants, hey, let me not say slavery, because servants, these may be indentured servants. Let me back up, because there is a difference between indentured servitude and slavery. Yeah, it gets deep. Nevertheless, and I would say from my perspective, the difference is indentured servitude was more like business and employees that we see. Okay, imagine living with your employees in shared quarters, making sure they good, you good, y'all handling business. Most of the work back in these days is farm work. We're talking about farm work, okay, and tilling land and things of that nature. All right, so that's medieval household. So we're seeing there's different types of household. All right, now there was a notion, okay, right here. Here we go. Before I go there, the structure of the medieval household was largely dissolved by the advent of privacy in early modern Europe. So they're saying basically once privacy came, the idea, the advent. So there was the privacy ain't always been something that's real. Privacy hasn't always been something that's a concept that we lived by as a people or as beings in this realm, right? They say since the invention of privacy, medieval households started to break down. So you had kings in medieval households with a nuclear family and a bunch of other family members, servants and dependents. Dependents could be cousins and people that's just dependent upon them to get money and to live their life. And that's done based on the fact people wanted some privacy in early mid-modern Europe. So privacy is the ability of an individual or group to seclude themselves or information about themselves and thereby express themselves selectively. So motherfuckers want to break away from the families. That's what it is. We want to break away from the family structure. You want to break away from the imperial family structure or whatever the law is that's laid down, because this, you know, if you're a slave in a regular household, you know you're following the law of the master. It is what it is. And you may got your own law inside your body and soul that you express as much as you can. Yet in the 3D realm, you got this master and this in that construct that was created. You got your master. You got to follow the nobleman's laws. And then The nobleman may be a king who has an imperial household that may have to follow some laws internationally from the royal household. Yet in its household, in the imperial household, the king is the king. So the king is the monarch in the king's household, and that's what it is. But people wanted some privacy, want to break away and handle their own business, do their own thing. And there goes the breakdown of the medieval household structure. And they say this wasn't until early modern Europe that privacy was a concept that people even was on. And this is roughly the 15th century. They say timelines have been all messed up, but nevertheless, I perceive that the sequential ordering of things has not necessarily been tampered with. And I'm not going to get that deep right now. I'm just going to say, hey, we're realizing that there's royal households, there's medieval households, there's regular households. The regular households, everybody's slaves, period, point blank. That's what it is. That's what it is according to English law. And a nobleman, they work for the nobleman. Now, your nobleman may not even be in that household, okay? That's the whole thing. Now, the royal household, sovereign household, laying down the law, run the state estate. Sounds like an estate to me. Something got to do with land and inheritance, like the right to receive all the assets that's due to you, right, from your ancestors, because that's what inheritance. Without ancestors, there is no inheritance. So thankful for the ancestors. I did want to do some libations when I first came up in this mug. I was thinking about that. I really was, and that was the goal, and I didn't necessarily do that. So I just have to let me just take a break. Let's take a break to literally just thank the Most High and the ancestors real quick, because without the ancestors wouldn't be no inheritance. No matter what you think a family is, the great ideas you have about family, that's wonderful, right? And say you think your family all bullshit or whatever, you wouldn't be here without them. And as long as you're breathing, and if you're watching this, more than likely you trying to make a way out of the bullshit, and you want to make the family great. Your idea of family. Now, the words having many meanings is very deceitful, right? We realizing that. So what words mean to us, we got to stand on that. Yeah, we also got to see what these words mean to people that we're dealing with every day in these business structures. Let me get some water real quick. Peace, 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 peace. And while we do this break, hold on. While we do a break, real quick, hey, tell me, hey, I'm fucking with this. Vibe out with me.
Are you tired of being subjected to rules and regulations that do not serve you or your family? Are you willing to go against the grain in the name of wisdom, freedom, family, honor, and trust? We provide simple solutions to complex problems. Take control of your own affairs in life. Tribe Up with Tribes and Trusts TV.
On our mission now, your time is up. Took us 400 years, had to size you up. Our word is born, no more dividing us. We now know what to do with all these tribes and trusts. I'm overseas with these tribes and trusts. Don't need no other keys but these tribes and trusts. Frequency, sovereignty with these tribes and trusts. Watch me get families free with these tribes and trusts. Overstepping your boundaries, I balance you. I'm bona fide, fuck a challenger. Sent the revocation certified, fuck a manager. In control of my soul, fuck a handler. All these assets that's held for the tribes and trusts. Prophecies get fulfilled with the tribes and trusts. Heard they get out of jail with the tribe and trust. Fuck around, get you nailed for the tribe and trust. On our mission now, your time is up. Took us 400 years, had to size you up. Our word is born, no more dividing us. We now know what to do with all these tribes and trusts. I'm overseas with these tribes and trusts. Don't need no other keys but these tribes and trusts. Frequency, sovereignty with these tribes and trusts. Watch me get families free with these tribes and trusts. Tribing up, we 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 tribing up with these tribes and trusts. We tribing up, 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 we tribing trapping up with these tribes and trusts. We trapping up, put the tribe in the trust, manifesting this wealth with the tribe and trust. Resurrecting myself with these tribes and trusts. Ancestors left us these tribes and trusts. The people is wising up, yeah. Free all the guys from cuffs. Tribes and trusts, rising up with tribes and trusts.
You heard the Mansa. Tribe up and take care of your own affairs in life. Your life depends on it. Your future depends on it. Your family depends on it. Establish your family tribes and trusts with Kyle Mansa, founder of Love Nation American Indians. If you need advanced or rush services, schedule a consultation.
All right. Just had to take a little break. Hey, look, shout out to the ancestors. Fight for the ancestors. Libations. I want to grab me a little plant, so I'm not just pouring this. This is a little plant, so I'm not just pouring it out for no reason. But yeah, I like to say shout out to the ancestors, grandma, my grandma. Appreciate it. Baby sister. Jesse Luke Jane, Jesse Luke Powell. I'd like to say shout out to Baba Califani. Thank you for the education. To Heru, to every ancestor unnamed that consistently is a presence in my life. Oh, yeah, Ashe. So here we go. That's to the ancestors. How you do you do you. But that we gotta say shout out to the ancestors because right now we're realizing that we coming up out of something as a people. As a people all over the world, we're coming up out of something. And we're realizing that we have to build more strong family ties. Individually, we got to stay more connected cosmically. Stay in alignment with the Divine Mother of Earth, of all earths, and the Most High Father of all heavens. As we are thankful and grateful for being reflections. You see what I'm saying? So let's just remain grateful and thankful and get back into this. So we realizing that there's different households, y'all. And we seeing that they damn near got us fucked up out here. Okay? Like on some slave shit. Like indirectly. Right? Indirectly on some slave shit. Right? And let's see, you know how they got these royal households? Is the White House a royal household? What you think? Is the White House a royal household? Or is they really a royal household? Because you only got a few types of households that's looking like a house for some reason. They got trust me, they got the house there for some reason. It's representative of some royals. But do you think the royals in the crib over there in the White House? I don't know. I tell you one thing. Let's look and see where the origin of these surnames came from. Because what we're dealing with is an issue. We're dealing with an issue to whereas they got us in a mix. All right. And surnames is a family name or last name. Okay. Of one's personal name. We finna get into some depthness of some things. Indicates one's family. And we saying family is about slavery and all of this, man. But where did this come from? Okay, it's a family union. History. What's up? While the use of given names to identify individuals attests to the oldest historic records. Okay, given names always been there, right? Somebody, you name one name, Kevin, boom, Kyle, right? Your first name is your given name, right? It's in the oldest historical records, given names have always been there. I remember, dang, that's crazy. Their names are slipping my mind. But I remember I used to go farming. I went farming with this one family, and he used to always say, man, we ain't never had no last names. We only had first names. We used to only have first name. Where does last name come from? But surnames, it's a relative recent invention. Many cultures have used and continue to use. All right, let's get into the origin, though. let me just go on over here and break it down to us, because here we go. I already know the answer. I just didn't know where it was there. But okay, long story short, in 1523, y'all, in 1523, the King Frederick, okay, of Denmark, Norway, this man made the noblemen create surnames to identify their properties, okay? And he was Frederick I of Denmark, okay? He was deposed by nobility in 1523, but in 1526, in 1526, this is when he actually had them come up with surnames. And it was in that last article. I just didn't see where it was. Let's see here real quick, man. Oh, shucky ducky. So you got to realize we are living in a situation that was created by a group of people. Group of people came up with these certain terms and certain meanings for these certain terms in order to get us jammed up. All right, literally. So here we go. It's called an ornamental surname, okay? Because there's different types of surnames. You got cognominal surnames, which is the broadest class of surnames. They originated from nicknames. You feel me? They just had just some nicknames. Caesar, Short. You know what I'm saying? You name somebody, you put something at the end of their name off of like some nickname type shit. You got patronal from patronage, strong ties of religion. So you got religious last names, okay, or ancestral names. Well, the English system that we're living under, we're not living under, but the English system that exists in colonization and all of that, these are ornamental surnames. They're made up of names not specific to any attribute, right? Place, person, or occupation, caste. We're going to get into that a little later. Or the first person to acquire their name, and they stem from the middle class's desire for their own hereditary names, like the nobles, okay? This is what they say. They stem from the middle class desire to have their own hereditary names. Okay, they were generally acquired later in history, and generally when those without surnames needed them. Who said they needed a surname? Who was the motherfucker that said you needed? Well, in 1526, King Frederick I of Denmark, Norway, ordered that noble families must take up fixed surnames. Okay, and many of them took as their name some element of their coat of arms. For example, okay. Long story short, you got Frederick, Denmark, Norway in 1526. This is 3 years after he got dethroned, telling the nobleman that they got to get some last names, period. So this got something to do with the crown and nobility, because when you have noble rule instead of absolute monarchy, that noble person has the right to lay down the law to those who were under them. These are hereditary. These are hierarchy rules. This is about establishing hierarchy and laying down the law. So you can do more research on that, because we're not going to spend too much time on that, because it's some more stuff I want to definitely get into. But you can learn about the aristocracy of Norway, because this was the origin of the surnames as we know them today, as we are dealing with them today. Okay. Literally, in the aristocracies between 872 and 1050, according to their timeline. Okay, during the unification process, the first national aristocracy began to develop. Okay, they talking about all the rich royal families and whatnot. Nevertheless, we're going to see who the real royal families are as we continue. Regional monarchs and aristocrats who recognize King Harold I as their high king would normally receive vassalage titles like Earl. Okay, this is when all these titles start to come into play. And at the end of the day, during the 872s and 1050s, if you're thinking about that far back, according to history, those persons who were running things then are not the same persons, a group of people that's running things in that area now. Let's just say that. Nevertheless, these are terms that came from high-level families that were not of regular family households. They were of royal households when they established this, okay, as we can see. Now, what's very interesting, the family structure changes over time, right? Family structure changes over time consistently. And we kind of realize that because right now we're living every day to day, and we sense it's some drama. We sense that it's kind of like a situation that we don't want to face. Families is attempting to get together and organize themselves a little better, get a little stronger, and find out what's going on, because it's getting out of hand as far as the lack of stability amongst the family structure. And the family structure has transformed so much to whereas it's just hanging on a thin thread for the most part for most families. Okay, so when you want, well, I wanted to check out what's up with this whole family idea as well. A book that I tap into, y'all, is Origins of Family, Private Property, and the State. Now, if people understand about Marxism, I'm not necessarily a proponent of any ideology. Nevertheless, I tap into information where information is. And I find that Friedrich Engels put together some very interesting information in the Origins of Family, Private Property, and the State. Like, the book is pretty interesting. You can see, for instance, if I go to the table of contents here, right? Look at the table of contents, y'all. You can see that it goes into different types of family structures. The stages of prehistoric culture, the family, its origin, right? And they got many different types of family. The first stage of the family, the consanguine family, the Punalian family, the pairing family, the monogamous family. And then it goes into different cultures, how they engage in family and what family meant to them. Because remember this word family, and this is the key. The word is a word. Words are symbols. They paint pictures. Now, the picture that you have may be different than the picture that somebody else has. And in this game of life, a lot of times we choose positions where there's authority figures who have meanings for words that's different than the meanings of the words that we have. Yet as you research, and especially up in this book, it's pretty interesting. He goes into the Iroquois gens. We're speaking of gens. He's speaking of a system of organizing people, say generationally, groups of people. Family is a synonym. But how the Iroquois was operating, the Greek gens, the rise of the Athenian state, the gens in the state of Rome, and the Celts of Germany, okay, the Celts and Germans, the formation of the state among Germans, barbarism and civilization. We're not going to get into all of that, yet I think it's going to be pretty interesting to just check out a couple pieces of the puzzle. Let's check this out. What my man got to say about the Iroquois, which is a group of the Iroquois. If you do research, hey, they say a lot about the Iroquois. They say the Iroquois was like the Spanish conquistadors in this side of the world. You know what I'm saying? They say that the Iroquois was engaged with so much slavery against other Aboriginal tribes out here that they probably did it better than the Britain. This is just what some people say. Yet, and it's pretty interesting when you read in this book what he says about the Iroquois. Okay, he says, we now come to another discovery made by Morgan, okay, which is at least as important as the reconstruction of the family in its primitive form from the systems of consanguinity, okay? Systems of consanguinity. What is this word? Okay, I like finding out what words mean real quick. There is a point that I was attempting to get to, but I ran into a word and I have to see what this means. The fact of being descended from the same ancestor. Okay, so being descended from the same ancestor is consanguinity, genuity. Okay, systems where you tied in, right? Same ancestors, right? The proof that the kinship organization designated by animal names in a tribe of American Indians are essentially identical with the genia of the Greeks and the gentes of the Romans. So what they're saying is that the totem system of the natives, right? He's saying that the totem systems of the natives is similar to those in the systems in Greek and the system that he finds in Roman. That the American is the original form. What? They said the American form of this family structure is original, and the Greek and the Roman forms are later derivatives. That's something interesting as well, because the terms that have the modern terms today, these modern terms, these are English terms that stem from Greek, Roman, Britain, France. This is from Greek, from Rome, these modern terms. Yet the system itself is from Aboriginal American lands, shall they say, in the West, Caribbeans. This is interesting. So they're saying that the whole system is similar, yet the American is the original form, right? The gens is an institutional coming to all barbarians until their entry into civilization and even afterwards. So they barbarian civilization. You see what I'm saying? We're barbarians if we're not in control by you, if we're not under a household that is enslaved by some beings, then we're barbarians. We must be civilized, putting to structures to be subjected to authorities. Where's the button when you need one? That's crazy. Barbarism in civilizations, right? Y'all check this out, because they say, now this is pretty deep right here. This is deep when they start to speak about how the American Indians looked at family, right? It's saying, arising in the middle stage of savagery, even though they consider them savages, they took pretty good notes of their family structures, and their structures came from them. So, you know, as it just stated, that the Greek and the Romans came and modeled themselves after the Iroquois. That's why I guess researchers say Iroquois did it the best. I guess Greek was trying to do it like them. And what is it? Colonization and enslavement. It says here, okay, the American Indians must serve as an example. Example of what? Let's read that previous paragraph again. Arising in the middle stage of savagery, further developed during its upper stage, the gens reaches its most flourishing period. So the most flourishing period, okay, so far as our sources was able to judge, during the lower stage of barbarism. We begin, therefore, with this stage. So they say the most developed high-class savagery was here in American Indians, serving as their example. They find the gentle constitution fully formed. The gentile constitution. Okay, so they consider them Gentiles. We're getting deep here. So they consider anything that's not Christian of the Christian faith to be Gentiles. Nevertheless, their whole system, as they say, even came from the Gentiles. Something to think about. Here we go. The tribe, they say the American Indians, they say the tribe is now grouped into several gentes, generally two. With the increase in population, each of these original gentes splits up into several daughter gentes. So you're talking about families. You got daughter gentes, son gentes, maybe a mother genes. Oh, here we go. The mother genes now appearing as the frathery. Man, I don't even know what they really saying. That's crazy, but I know what they saying. The tribes itself breaks up into several tribes, in each of which we find again. Let me move on, because what they're attempting to communicate is the related tribes and how they operated. Okay, they say the related tribes, at least in some cases, are united in the confederacy. Okay, so tribes that's related to each other is a confederacy. They say the tribe itself breaks up into several tribes. Each one, for the most part, the old gents, the old tribes. The related tribes are united in some cases as a confederacy. Like in America, you have many confederacies of Aboriginal tribes, right? You got when I do my research, the Caldwells, for instance, were part of the Potawatomi tribes, and that was part of the Council of the Great, the Council of the Three Fires, the Great, you know what I'm saying? The Council of the Three Fires, which is the United Nations of Potawatomi, Ojibwe, and another tribe. You know, my bad if I ain't getting it 100 trillion% correct. Yeah, confederation is a group of tribes, related beings coming together, united, right? But they're saying that the family structure in the American Indians, it was nothing more than a grouping natural to those conditions. So based upon your conditions is how you organize yourself, is what is clear. War settles external conflicts. Now, this is deep. They say internally, they may deal with things a certain way, but war settles external conflicts. It may end with the annihilation of a tribe, but never with its subjugation. They saying the type of American Indians in its natural form, pre-colonization, pre-civilization, they basically was like, we fighting to the death, period. We ain't changing who we is. We ain't getting conquered. Ain't no conquering us. It's death or victory, period. Because we ain't getting subjugated to shit. Evidently, that was the method. That's the way that the family looked at the situation and operated according to this book here. I'm definitely not rocking with whatever view that is. Let's go back. But yeah, so they saying war settles external conflicts and war only. Within the tribe yet, there is no difference between rights and duties. The question whether participation in public affairs and blood revenge or atonement is a right or a duty does not exist for the Indians. Oh, they saying basically if we got to get some blood revenge, right? Or whether we got to participate in some of our public affairs, it ain't an option like whether we going to do this or not. It would seem to him just as absurd as the question of whether it was a right or a duty to sleep, eat, or hunt. Like, is it a right or a duty to eat or hunt? Man, this is something we got to do. Eat. We have to sleep. We have to eat. We have to hunt. So the ideas and how families operated with before colonization, they stated that these American Indians, they all had to participate and was participating in their public affairs. They all had to participate and was participating in blood revenge or atonement, right? And basically setting the order straight, an eye for an eye type shit. They fucking us over. Well, we gotta go get them. You see what I'm saying? Ain't no question, basically. And we're gonna make it happen, Captain. You see what I'm saying? That's basically how they looked at the situation. The population is extremely sparse. It is dense only at the tribe's place of settlement, around which lie in the wide circle, first the hunting grounds and then the protective belt of neutral forest. Okay, going into more about the type of family and the structures. So as we can see, the type of family and the structures he's communicating, there's different types of families. There's different types of structure. And there's different system and authority, because they call it barbarianism and barbarians, and they say that they're uncivilized, but civilized clearly means slavery, because when you're civilized, you're in a nice old household, with a nice old family, handling the business in the way that the masters say you should, according to English law, literally. So this ain't no conspiracy theory. This is literally the structure of the family, modern day English family structures. All right. And we're going to get somewhere real deep. It's going to go somewhere, and we look, it's going somewhere already, and it's still going to get somewhere else. It's pretty interesting. Okay. We picture Jewish history. Now they talking about tribe and the family according to the time period in the perspective of Jewish families, right? Because everybody got their way of looking at families. They picture Jewish history as beginning with the emergence of the patriarchs and matriarchs and their families. That's how they picture it. The great family of Israel seems to develop out of these fathers and mothers, but careful study proves otherwise. Side by side with the family, we see the tribe, an important institution which at times overshadows the family. The family being with a father and a brother are not only a physical, they are often a tribal father or brother. the Hebrew language is not rich in the designation of blood relationships. The family did not, as such, seem to demand much attention. It was absorbed into the tribe. They saying that, hey, it was tribe over family in that situation. They said tribe over family. The Hebrew was in the Hebrew way, the Hebrew organization, right? So what's the difference between tribe and a family? And they, in the way that they putting it, right? In their system. The rulers off of tens, of 50s, of hundreds, of thousands. Okay, sometimes you rule that many people. So the family and the tribal institutions did not always coexist in peace. So you got families, tribes that's not the fam, but the fam is part of the tribe, evidently. And they say that the story of the daughters of Zelophehad reveals a struggle between them. I ain't gonna get straight into that, but let's keep on going because this is interesting. The rulers, often of a whole bunch of people whom Moses had appointed to judge the people, were unable to decide the matter. Oh shit. The matter was women and their family values, right? So women, so I got to read it to explain that. As women, family values dominated their thinking, and they demanded the patrimony of their father as a filial inheritance. So they wanted the patrimony of their father as an inheritance, but they were opposed by the elders who looked upon the tribe as a unit for possession and feared that feminine inheritance would transfer land from one tribe to another. So that's interesting. The elders weren't trying to let the women be owners of properties and transfer, because the women could, if that was the case, the women could transfer to a different tribe. And the elders looked at it as a property to be owned. And what is it? The whole family. The elders looked at it like the whole family is something that we own and the tribe owns. But if we start giving women the rights, then if they got the right of the land, then the land could be transferred to a whole nother tribe. Whereas if men got rights, it can't be transferred to another tribe. That's interesting. And that is because out of women, many tribes can be created, many nations, many different families can be created. Another whole line, a whole nother branch. The rulers. Okay, so this is interesting. We're gonna move on though, because I want to get to some points, because that's just their way of thinking, right? You got the Jewish way of thinking. As you can see, there's different ways of thinking, and different ways of going about this historically, consistently. There's different ways of looking at what a family is. Right now, we still coming out. We're coming out of an English paradigm, of a matrix. We're coming out of this matrix into an Aquarian age, where it's going to be whole and a new family structure. Well, I perceive we're going to be more intergalactic and more cosmic with the family structure, because the way that humans are being treated, they're being treated just like humans. And we'll see what a human is as we go on. So what I'm here to show right now is what I perceive 1,000,000,000% is that families in a modern sense were looked at as slaves, and households were looked at as slaves from the nobleman, because you got to see the modern sense. These are colonizers who perceive that they got the right to totally control all people like property, based on the doctrine of discovery on down. This is modern English law. We're talking about doctrine of discovery. If you're not a Christian, you're an infidel. We can go take you over. You're just property. You're nothing. And this English system has fortified that, has turned that into a way of life through laws that are in words and terminology and classification systems. And it got to the point so far where, if that's the classification system, and the Pope and the Rome told you that you can go take over people and they're nothing, if they're not Christian, they're nothing, then what are they to you? If they're nothing and I can take them over and we can get all the land and we got to turn this land into some productivity and communities, then what are they? There's something to us, but what are they? Well, I'm here to tell you that modern day family structures are still slave-based structures, and family members were utilized and are still, but we're coming out of it. And some are still to this day utilized as collateral for the debts of their masters. Okay, so for individuals who are noblemen or property owners, landowners, royal households, right? We looked at many different types of households. So for royal households, they have regular households within their households that are their servants. And I'm here to tell you that this is about money. And these persons, these servants and slaves were utilized as collateral for loans. That's what the modern English system is about, turning people into assets and collateral and animals, literally, for agricultural liens, for agricultural loans, and other types of loans. Historically consistently. And why agriculture? Because when you got land, you got to till it. Plantations. Plantations were the first type of colonies from the crown. Okay, they are a type of colony, plantations. And let's get to this. This is agriculture business, and there's some information that can back that up. Let's look into some information. All right, so we got founding fathers as founding debtors. How some of them use slaves as collateral, and this is going to be interesting, y'all. This is going to be interesting. Americans remain largely unaware that many of the famous founding fathers were deeply in debt. So they were deeply in debt. Imagine a group of men deeply in debt, needing to make some money. Some of them, including Thomas Jefferson, attempted to forestall foreclosure by using their slaves as collateral. So they're trying to forestall foreclosure. Okay, now real quick, who was going to foreclose on them? Who did they get their money from? Bank of St. George. Let's take a look into the Bank of St. George. I'm talking about the Bank of St. George, the real Bank of St. George, not the St. George Bank. Is always some copycatting persons that's attempting to act like something. But let's take a look at who gave the money to the founding fathers, y'all. They was in debt. They needed to rack up some dough. That's the fact, Jack. And what does it say here? The Bank of St. George, eh? The Bank of St. George was a financial institution in the Republic of Genoa. It was founded in 1407 to consolidate the public debt, which had been escalating due to war with Venice for trading and financial dominance. So they was in a war with Venice for trading and financial dominance. You had Genoa, the Republic of Genoa, in a war with Venice. Okay, so you got war. You got the Republic of Genoa in a war with Venice over trading and financial dominance of the world, Craig. The whole world. We need to dominate. All right, because the financial center at this time was in this area. Where's the Republic of Genoa and the Venice? This is all Italy. Remember Italy, and around Italy, and talk about Rome. All roads lead to Rome. Still, okay, but there's a Rome in America as well. Anyway, I just really want to say about this. Let's keep on this point. The Republic of Genoa at war with Venice. Let's go to a map. Okay. Okay, these are two different locations. So Genoa and Venice, they in the war, right? You got the Bank of St. George trying to get financial dominance. And right now, if you think about the Venetian Empire and all the stuff that we've heard about Venice and where the wealth is, Well, there was a Genoa Empire. There was a Genoa Bank of St. George. These people, as we're going to see later, they did some things. So it's only a 4-hour drive away from each other. So it can't be too far, but they was beefing. Can't be too far from each other. It's only a 4-hour drive. Shoot, only a 4-hour drive away from each other. But I guess back in them days, they was walking. And they say, you know, if you was walking, it was going to take you a grip 7 days. 7 days to get that money. Probably back there, they probably didn't even have no cars like we got. And the road probably was different. So that 7 days now, but shit probably took 2 months. But let's see, these people was at a war and they're close to each other. And where is this? You see Venice? Get on out of here. Come on, stop clicking too much. Venice and Genoa. They were at war over the financial dominance. Can we get out of what is all of this? And look where they at. You see Italy? Yeah, Italy. Can we get a different view? Different view just to see the country here. And then we're going to continue. All right, so you can see. Wow. They both in Italy, y'all. And Rome is south of where these locations was at. So you got Milan right here. You got Switzerland over here. This is a financial center of Europe, right? Evidently, this shit had to do something about money. You got Venice here. You got Italy here. You got Rome here. Rome, where the Pope at? Pope is in Rome, right? So they was beefing. But what did the Bank of St. George do? The Bank of St. George, I believe, are the financiers of the founding fathers. They definitely financed Christopher Columbus. Well, let me just, because I don't want to be researching here too much. Let's go to the Bank of St. George finance Christopher Columbus, y'all. This is a bank that was financing stuff all around the world. And, they literally financed Christopher Columbus. I didn't pull that link up and I'm not going to go through there. Y'all do your own research. There's books written about it. Christopher Columbus in the Bank of St. George, all right? Do that research. All right. Nevertheless, we are talking about slavery and loans. Let me find out what link this is, y'all, because we get a little glitch in the matrix. Little glitch in the matrix. Okay, let me get back here. It's evidently after this. Here we go. How they use slaves as collateral. So, Americans remain largely unaware that many of the famous fathers were deeply in debt. Some of them, including Thomas Jefferson, attempted to forestall foreclosure by using their slaves as collateral. Just know, if y'all research the Bank of St. George, I don't want to get too deep. If you research the Bank of St. George, you're going to see that upon their demise, a lot of interesting stuff occurred. Using human beings to back debt was refined in the years following 1776. Ain't that an amazing? Ain't that the year of independence? That's the year of establishment of New Jersey. That's the year of establishment of the United States of America in modern sense. And it helped jumpstart our American financial system. You see that? So using human beings to back debt was refined in America. And it helped jumpstart our American financial system. Dun, 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 dun. This is what we're talking about. This is what families are. Families are the slaves that help jumpstart American financial system. In fact, and families are the slaves that continue to help jumpstart America's financial system. Slave-backed debt was a depravity that treated black men and women as fodder, whose only worth was the wealth they generated for others. So long story short, you ain't got to get too deep into this. We ain't got to go too deep into this. Nevertheless, let's read and see how deep this was. Slave back debt was a depravity that treated black men and women. They say in black, but aboriginals, tribesmen, Morocco, some dark-skinned beings enslaved white-skinned beings before white meant what it means now. Okay. And a whole bunch of people enslaved a whole bunch of people. Literally. Let's just say that. Okay. There's a situation of slavery that meets every category, which means some blacks enslaved blacks, or aboriginals enslaved aboriginals, some whites enslaved some whites enslaved some blacks enslaved some whites, some Christians enslaved some Muslims enslaved some Christians enslaved some Christians, some Muslims enslaved some Muslims. It's been a lot of enslavement going on. All right. And that shit is the fact, Jack. Thomas Jefferson died July 4th, 1826, nearly $2 million in debt in today's dollar. Okay. George Washington tobacco-based estate failed to keep Washington out of debt. He had a tobacco estate. It didn't keep him out of debt. So he switched to wheat in 1760. So he had to get his Wheaties. He had to get his Wheaties. The fuck? Okay. How the founders got into debt was simple. Each year they sold the tobacco to European merchants, mainly British. Okay, so they selling the tobacco to the British, primarily in exchange for goods that supported their lavish lifestyles. As tobacco prices fell, but the desire for material comforts remained, they paid for that lifestyle on credit extended by many of the same merchants. So basically, long story short, commodities prices was changing. The products that they was developing, the value of them was decreasing. But who was controlling the value, y'all? The banks, the foreign exchange markets, okay? The foreign exchange markets. So imagine if you, over in Britain, over there, you control the value of the commodity that you're going to be trading your shit with, so you can make the value whatever you need, so that when those people got to trade with you, hey, man, the value is this. We're going to need a lot more of your shit than what we finna give you. You understand what I'm saying? So much to the degree to whereas now founding fathers got to get up into some debt because they like balling out on a budget. Okay. Before the Revolutionary War, economic conditions in Europe squeezed British merchants, okay, who in turn squeezed American planters for debt repayment. American planters. So American planters are those people who was over here running the plantations, household, families, slaves. It's starting to ring a bell. What the fuck the modern English system look at you as? This pushed some American planters into financial collapse, and others like Jefferson and Washington, the brink of financial ruin. Some slaveholding planters even complained of enslavement to British creditors. So they like, hey, I got my slaves. We out here trying to get shit popping on our plantations. But goddamn, we enslaved to the British because we owe their asses so much money consistently, and the value of what we trading ain't even hitting no more. So it's going crazy. And what is this? This is trades, commodities. How you getting something to trade? You're planting. It's farm. Okay, it's farming. Okay. So let's see something here. Tobacco was demanding to grow, and without slaves to raise their crops, Jefferson, Washington, and other planters would have been far too busy farming to have had the leisure to contemplate the lofty ideas of liberty. Well, they say they wouldn't been able to think about no independence, liberty, which is literally not the same as freedom, but they can't get no liberty, which is independence from the crown. Okay, they can't get no independence from the crown and be able to manage their plantations the way they want to independently. Independence does not mean you're not under the crown no more, because there's a lot of independent nations that's still part of the Commonwealth. Just get into some Googling, you'll find that out. Nevertheless, they like without slaves, they wouldn't be able to get this popping, huh? So that's why you got families and households. Okay, so in this way, liberty was directly tied to slavery. They said they couldn't get no liberty if they ain't got no slaves. Although it would be incorrect to say that the founders went to war with Britain just to get out of debt. Y'all can do some more research on the American Revolution yourselves. Nevertheless, you can see right there, they felt like they had to get some slaves. And let's get deeper into this, because bacon and slavery in the antebellum South. We got to get into this. So we understanding that slavery, for the most part, you got these people working, doing shit for you, building your community, your society. Your society, that's a social construct. So you got them building your society because shit, you got a lot to do, right? And you need some help. And the way that you're going to get your help, according to the modern English system, is to just get some slaves. And who are going to be your slaves? Everybody, every fucking body. That's a fucking idea. That's a grand idea, says the Pope, via the doctrine of discovery, and America and all the republics that consistently implement the system of slavery via capitalism and employment. Banking on slavery in the antebellum South. So they banking on it. The paper is a snapshot of a book, whatever. We're not going to promote your book, man. But let's read the intro real quick. During the economic boom following World War 1812, following the War of 1812, Kentucky business partners, Mr. Moorhead and Robert Latham, increasingly found themselves in debt to the Bank of Kentucky. The pair had been discounting notes at the bank for several years, and by 1817 owed the bank almost $16,000. With so many notes outstanding, okay, we're getting into notes, we're getting into money, we talk about slaves, we talk about property, okay, real quick before I get into that, let's read real quick up in here. Chapter 5, man, look, let's start a little earlier because my man got some shit going on. Let's see what each chapter is going to be about his book, even though I said fuck his book. Not fuck your book. Don't fuck your book. Your book is evidently, I'm researching on it. It says chapter 1 will set the scene. Why fuck the book? I'm reusing the research. Man, gotta be more careful. Chapter 1, what is this book going to do? Chapter 1 is going to set out the scene. It's going to set the scene. Describe Southern banking. Explain how various mortgage and loan contracts work. Southern banking is the same as your banking, same as Roman banking, because it's all the same system. For sure, remember that. Okay? But it explains how various mortgage and loan contracts work and examine the legal issues regarding contracting, foreclosure, and the breakup of slave families. You remember how they said the founding fathers was facing bankruptcy? You know, how they talk about now how America's bankrupt. I wonder what effect that has on families, aka slaves. It's very interesting to find out how all this stuff comes together. And if you perceive you're not a slave, yet you still got love for your family, that's a conundrum. I'm not a slave, got love for my family. Maybe you an imperial household. Maybe you part of an imperial household, a royal household, sovereign household. That's the only household in the modern English system that wasn't subject to slavery. That's not subject to slavery. I mean, according to what we just read. Okay, let's keep going. Chapter 2 will examine slave mortgages by Southern commercial banks through the 1830s, looking particularly at the role these mortgages played in the speculation leading up to the panics 1819 and 1837. Chapter 3 will focus on the involvement of the first and second banks of the United States in slave mortgaging and the role these mortgages played in the failure of the second bank in the 1840s. Chapter 4, so it's banks failing, mortgages and shit, notes, and commercial paperwork and slaves. All this shit got something to do with families. Chapter 3 will focus on the involvement of the first and second banks of the United States in slave mortgaging. Dun, 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 dun. I was trying to tell somebody just recently that reparations in America is a lawsuit with the Department of Agriculture based upon some slave shit. They ain't want to hear me out. The chapter 3 will focus on the involvement of the first and second banks of the United States in slave mortgaging and the role these mortgages played in the failure of the second bank in the 1840s. Chapter 4 will examine the plantation banks, with a particular emphasis on the Citizens Bank of Louisiana, the Citizens Bank. Although the citizen property of the state, an estate for who? The noble royal family? Maybe the whole state is just an estate for the sovereign? Maybe. And everything in it is property, everything, every being, everything is owned by the sovereign. Although the Citizens Bank of Louisiana stopped payment on its bond obligation in 1842, it continued in operation until the early 20th century. During the 1840s, it actively provided mortgages on plantations. Y'all. Hey, it's a good old farm loan on plantations and slaves without the direct sanction of the state. And by 1852, the bank was able to convince the state to revive its charter. It actively underwrote slave mortgages through the Civil War. Chapter 5 will return to the experiences of commercial banks with slave mortgaging during the 1840s and 1850s. In particular, this chapter will examine the relationship of banks with slave traders and the effects of sales on slave families. The effects of sales on slave families. The final chapter will look at the legal and economic implications of emancipation for these mortgage contracts. Now, as I read this, history is a motherfucker, and our story is a motherfucker. Well, history is a motherfucker, yeah, because our story is interesting as well. Nevertheless, this is what's going on, man. Utilizing people to get money. So the final chapter talking about the economic implications on emancipation for these mortgage contracts. Y'all can read this book y'all own. My man wrote Banking on Slavery in the Antebellum South. You can YouTube it, Google it. Google it, more than likely Google it. And you're going to be all good there. Yeah, as you can see, this is a financial system backed by people, right? Backed by people, their labor, and what they could provide. That is what slavery is. And that's what America was built upon. And that's what your current family system is dealing with. That's why your family structure, most people that I meet that keep it real, what they wish their family system is not what it is right now. And maybe it's because of what we read, and because the family structure we in is a slave structure. And we don't want to be no slaves. Okay? And maybe we were never slaves and just got into this structure and ended up having to be living like some slaves. Either way, and if we not that and we our own true people, then maybe that means we're royal households. So either royal households, imperial households, some medieval households, which king based, still has some slavery going on. This shit crazy. All right, so they going back deeper into slavery and Wall Street, but man, you do their own research into that shit, man. All the companies ate off of slavery, man. And there's different types of slavery. And let's see here, right? The international law of colonialism, because that's what made it all happen. This is based on the doctrine of discovery. Christopher Columbus getting a loan from St. George, the Bank of St. George, coming through this mud, Christianizing as many people as possible. And the people were treated like property because according to their law, they were property, literally. Okay, and I'll tell y'all to check this out. Unraveling the International Law of Colonialism: Lessons from Australia and the United States. And look, I'm just gonna read this part. That's it. That's all I'm gonna read, and maybe show y'all the introduction, like some table of contents. Y'all get deep into this on your own, but this is just more information on how crazy and wicked this system was set up to be, that we are finding ourselves exiting and transitioning into a new system at this very moment. This is really the past. We are in this past, just unfolding to the future that's very clear. In the 1823 decision of Johnson versus McIntosh, Chief Justice John Marshall formulated the International Law of Colonialism, known as the Doctrine of Discovery. So he formalized it. Marshall's opinion. And John Marshall, you know, it's like some schools and law schools, especially in Chicago, named after this man, known as the Doctrine of Discovery, right? So his opinions drew on the practices of the European nations during the age of exploration to legitimize European acquisition of territory owned and occupied by indigenous people. So they wanted to legitimize some bullshit. Can we get a man, I'm gonna upgrade this system. I need to press some shit. I can get my special buttons for this situation right now. Need a special button for this situation right now. They need to legitimize some bullshit. Basically, their whole system is some bullshit. The whole modern English system is some bullshit that had to be legitimized. So if you gotta legitimize something, that means it ain't legitimate. Come on. Can we get some common sense in this motherfucker? Common sense. We're gonna utilize some common sense in this motherfucker. We're gonna use some common sense in this motherfucker. Can we please get some common sense? Somebody got some sense. Common. Is it common? So they have to legitimize their shit. Let's keep going a little bit here. 2 centuries later, okay, in order to legitimize European acquisition of territory owned and occupied by indigenous people. 2 centuries later, Johnson, and the International Law of Colonialism remains good law. Good law. It's good law. It's good law. It's a good law. Good law throughout the world. In this article, we examine how the Doctrine of Discovery was adopted and applied in Australia and in the United States. As indigenous people continue to press for a re-examination of their relationship with governments. Yeah, indigenous, first off, is a lot of we ain't gonna get into that right now, but indigenous means anybody who was born on the landmass. So no matter where you're from, if you was born on the landmass, you're indigenous to that landmass. Nevertheless, there is also something called aboriginal. That's some the beings who were there, the original people that were there. It's different than indigenous. And we're gonna get into human a little later because this shit ain't over. This ain't over. This conversation about what is a family ain't over. So it says, let's see what we got going on here. As indigenous people continue to press for a re-examination of their relationship with the government, we also consider whether and how the international law of colonialism has been mitigated and unraveled in these 2 centuries. How's it been mitigated? How you gonna mitigate this colonialism? While we find that the doctrine lingers, close examination provides several important lessons for the indigenous nations and governments burdened by colonialism. Burdened by colonialism. Nevertheless, that's the rights in which they stand on. Right? The origins of it, the elements of the doctrine, the applications of the doctrine in the United States, and all of that right there, right? Get into that on your own recognizance. Let's get into something because we finna move on to a whole nother level, y'all. This show's finna go to a whole nother level. Let me just say, hey, I'm speaking to you and you who are going to be here and you who are here now. This show's going to take a nice turn for the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to be getting into, okay, so we see that it says family is slave. in the household. We seen that noblemen could be running that household. We also seen that noblemen could be part of a medieval household, and whereas it's a group of essentially households. There's a group of families, a group of households outside of just the core. And it includes the slaves, the servants, the assistants, people that's handling business for them, everybody who's providing for them, okay? And we realize that could be a nobleman. That could be a king. So a king could be living like that, where he got his households and many other servants and beings and everything like that. You see what I'm saying? Now, a nobleman is operating a household with some slaves. And then we realize royal households where it's a sovereign household operated by the monarch. So you got a monarch and then you got king. So a monarch might not be the king. The king might not be the monarch. And the head of the household might not be free because he might be a slave in a regular old household as a family with a master. So we realize all of that. Yeah, what we're going to go into is we're going to get into the deep. How did this become? How did this become? We seen that King Arthur or George, whatever his man name was. I don't want to say whatever, man. Let's get some specifics. Of Denmark. Frederick the First of Denmark. We see Frederick the First of Denmark was the man who told all the noblemen, hey, y'all get some last names. But if he told the noblemen that wasn't the king. He wasn't telling the king. The noblemen was just people that ran households. And then he told them to go to make everybody get some surnames 3 years after he got dethroned. So you get dethroned 3 years later, you tell all the noblemen, hey, get some last names. Get some last names. But y'all ain't even king status. So now everybody with these last names, get them from the noblemen who got them from their family crest, and the family was already a slave. So it was just slave on slave on slave. Slaves on slaves on slaves. Slaves on slaves on slaves. Literally. All right. So what we're going to do is take a little quick 2-minute. Why? Because I think somebody want to check this out. Quick 2-minute. And we're going to come back, and what we're going to get into is specifically how did that come about in a legal sense? What was the legalization look like? How did they go about legalizing this? Because if we can see how they went about legalizing this and turn it into the current system that we live in, then we can see how we could go about legalizing what we know we wish to be true, right? And what's interesting, and I don't want people to get nervous and say, okay, we can't use the word family no more because family is a bunch of slaves. You got to change your whole language. No, I would say in contract law and according to all things, you get to create a definition for that. The definition that you keep in your heart, that you perceive it is with your people and persons, with y'all social compact, which we ain't got into that yet. The definition that you have is the definition that you have. The definition you got in your rule book is the definition you got in your rule book. But if you ain't even got a rule book because you're going by the rule book of your master, what the fuck, you know? And we're going to get into how deep this could be because they gave acknowledgement that the American Indians prior to colonization weren't taking no bullshit. It's going to all make sense.
Are you tired of being subjected to rules and regulations that do not serve you or your family? Are you willing to go against the grain in the name of wisdom, freedom, family, honor, and trust? We provide simple solutions to complex problems. Take control of your own affairs in life. Tribe Up with Tribes and Trusts TV.
On our mission now, your time is up. Took us 400 years, had to size you up. Our word is born, no more dividing us. We now know what to do with all these tribes and trusts. I'm overseas with these tribes and trusts. Don't need no other keys but these tribes and trusts. Frequency sovereignty with these tribes and trusts. Watch me get balance free with these tribes and trusts. Overstepping your boundaries, I balance you. I'm bona fide, fuck a challenger. Sent the revocation certified, fuck a manager. In control of my soul, fuck a handler. All these assets that's held for the tribes and trusts. Prophecies get fulfilled with the tribes and trusts. Heard they get out of jail with the tribe and trust. Fuck around, get you nailed for the tribe and trust. On our mission now, your time is up. Took us 400 years, had to size you up. Our word is bond, no more dividing us. We now know what to do with all these tribes and trusts. I'm overseas with these tribes and trusts. Don't need no other keys but these tribes and trusts. Frequency sovereignty with these tribes and trusts. Watch me get families free with these tribes and trusts. Tribing up, we 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 tribing up with these tribes and trusts. We tribing up, 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 we tribing up with these tribes and trusts. We tribing up, put the tribe in the trust, manifesting this work with the tribe and trust. Resurrected myself with these tribes and trusts. Ancestors left us these tribes and trusts. The people is rising up, yeah. Free all the guys from cuffs. Tribes and trusts, rising up with tribes and trusts.
You heard the Mansa. Tribe up and take care of your own affairs in life. Your life depends on it. Your future depends on it. Your family depends on it. Establish your family tribes and trusts with Kyle Mansa, founder of Love Nation American Indians. If you need advanced or rush services, schedule a consultation.
Yeah, I needed about 30 more seconds. That's all. All right, so now what we finna do, we gonna keep it real simple, right? What I would like to do now is just get into what is this? Like, what is this subject matter? I want to get the answer to what is this subject matter? What is the subject of family? Under what category of subjects does this even come under? What the hell is going on? Because it's not sounding too good, right? And what is the tribe? Because we state that a family is a tribe, and they got something to do with each other. So this is biology. These are biology concepts. It says in biology, a tribe is a taxonomic rank. So a taxonomic. Oh, tax. See, tax. Boom. It's all about taxes. Hey. Somebody getting taxed, gonna get taxed. Slaves getting taxed. They whole energy's getting waxed. It's not good for real. But in biology, a tribe is a taxonomic rank above genus, but below family and subfamily. Let's check this out. What's a taxonomic rank? Taxonomic rank is the relative level of group of organisms. Okay, so we finna see how they got to legalizing. How you gonna legalize and make some people perceive that humans are the thing to enslave? Well, taxonomic ranking is the relative level of a group of organisms in an ancestral or hereditary hierarchy. So it's an ancestral or hereditary hierarchy. Common system of biological classification. Consists of species, genus. So this is where that genes comes from. And this is a taxonomic rank above species and below families. Okay. And this sounds like a caste system. Anybody can say caste system? Shit sounding kind of casty to me. Family, order, class. See, class is another word for caste. It's a taxonomic rank, as well as a taxonomic unit, a taxon. Oh, we will be checking out what a taxon is in a minute, because it sounds like you talk about taxon, niggas is getting taxing around here. Taxon. In biology, a taxon, this is a biological. They turning this biological shit to economic shit, everything. Hey, this ain't no joke. This ain't no joke, everybody. They turning, all this is connected. The money is connected to the family, is connected to the negotiable instruments, is connected to the sovereignty, is connected to the imperial family, is connected to the slaves, is connected to the land, is connected to the heritage, is connected to the inheritance, as we see right now. Ain't no conspiracy. All of this is connected. And it's connected in a way they got it in a knot. They got this shit in a knot that we don't like. We don't like the way they got this shit knotted up. It's good for it to be connected, but we wish for it to be connected the way we wish for it to be connected. So let's see how they got these dots connected. And then later on, this is just video 1. Later on in the course of Tribes and Trusts 101, we're going to see different ways you can get this thing connected. You see what I'm saying? Because there's different ways in that you can do anything. But let's go here and check this out. So in this taxonomy system, what is this? In biology, a taxon is a group of one or more populations of an organism or organisms seen by taxonomists to form a unit. Although neither is required, a taxon is usually known by a particular name in a particular ranking, especially if and when it is accepted or becomes established. Okay, so taxon is like another group. So basically, groups are not needed. He's saying they're not needed and rankings are not needed, but they happen anytime it becomes accepted and becomes established. You feel me? Initial attempts at classifying and ordering organisms, plants and animals. So plants and animals are the only things that's organized and ordered like organisms. They organize and ordering organisms. Can we get an or and an or and an or for the or and an or? Organizing and ordering organisms. That's what's going on. They're organizing and ordering organisms. So somebody put this system together in this complex, this matrix, this modern English matrix of colonization and capitalism. Look, all this shit had to be what it is to satisfy the bloodthirst desire to conquer the world. So a bloodthirst desire to conquer the world and every human being in it. First off, every being, every cosmic God, most high being of the cosmos. We're coming up with some other terms just to distinguish it from this shit. Because this shit is crazy. And at the end of the day, the only slave I am to is to the all in all. And that ain't even slavery. That's freedom. That's the true freedom. The liberty is slavery. This is crazy. Okay, this is crazy. So these are the systems. A taxon basically is a group of people. A taxon is a group of people. A taxonomic rank is a group of people in the hierarchy of the different groups. A class system. And as you can see what they got going on here. This is how they look at us. I ain't lying. As a fucking animal. And I love animals. I do perceive that there are similarities to us and animals. Nevertheless, I do also perceive that all things come from a source that's unseen. And I also perceive that all beings have the right to identify themselves as they see fit and engage in organizational systems that they wish to engage in, and not engage with organizational systems that they do not wish to engage in. And if this is not the taxonomic, this is not the taxonomics that we wish to be engaging with and participating with, then it doesn't have to be. Nevertheless, let's look at this. They have this system, and there is a they, and we will get into who is the they that creates the system and what the fuck is going on around here. The word family is right here. You can see the word family right here. So we said the family is your tribe, oh shit. And they can talk about the kingdom and the domain, oh shit. So above it all is a domain. And the least above it all, the least on the totem pole is a species. They said on this totem pole, species are at the bottom, domain is at the top. Kingdom is under domain. A phylum is under kingdom. Class is under phylum. Order is under class. Family is under an order. Genus is under a family. Species is under a genus. Now, ain't this some shit? Personally, let me just say, let's do some researching and reading of these words. But already I can tell you, it don't seem like this shit is for the benefit of the species. Let's just put it like that. It don't look like this system was set up to benefit the species. This system don't look like it was set up to benefit fam. This system ain't for the fam. This system look like it's for the domain. Whatever domain means to these motherfuckers. This system that they're speaking of, this system, this modern English system of taxonomics. And that's something that you can take to the bank. Hey, I'm pretty sure you can. So let's look. It consists of species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, and domain. The species at the bottom of their totem pole. A species is often defined as the largest group of an organism. Oh, they saying the largest group is at the bottom. Wow. Ain't that wow? I need some buttons to press. Boom, boom, boom. Fucking seriously. Pour me up some more tea in a second. But you got to be crazy to say the whole dang group, the largest group of organisms is at the bottom. But I guess if you take it and you switch it upside down, then that's the top of the triangle and the top of the pyramid, and all beings will be at the top. Because they look like they got the pyramid upside down. Look like, and what that mean, what you think that mean. Motherfuckers are trying to flip-flop the pyramid upside down. What the fuck? Motherfuckers literally created a whole paradigm, and took paradigm of a pyramid. They then took the diamond. They then took the precious pyramid and tried to flip it upside down where the greatest is at the bottom. Let's keep going. Genus. It looks like genius to me. And that's the thing about it. They got these words looking like something that makes you feel good. And these are some bullshit based upon their definitions of the English system. Genus is a taxonomic rank above species and below family, as used in a biological classification of living and fossil organisms, as well as viruses. In binomial nomenclature, the genus name forms the first part of a binomial species name for each species within a genus. Well, I learned a lot there. Biological system, nomenclature. What the fuck? They just trying to overclassify some shit. Literally, fossils and living fossils. Monophyly, all descendants of an ancestral taxon are grouped together. So all descendants of a group are grouped together, because remember, a taxon was a certain group. So if you came from a certain group, a certain taxon according to their words, now it's going to see, that's the problem. See, that's when the problem ain't a problem, but the problem becomes when you utilizing terms in a way to explain it. You have the common term, and then you got the way it means in society commonly right now, right? Most terms, they got a way where they got a definition. Like if I said family, you're not going to be thinking I'm talking about slaves. If I walk up and I'm like, hey, what up, fam? You ain't going to be like, oh, you calling me a slave, nigga? No, bro, I just said fam. Man, well, family is actually a part of a household, which is technically a slave. Oh, they be looking at you like you crazy. You feel me? Like, nigga, I just said, what up, fam? Oh, so maybe it's a spell. So it's a spell that people conscious of. Maybe social colloquium, or the everyday common sense word, common terminology. Maybe that's the spell, because that's a way for people, the masses, to be comfortable and feeling good about some of the worst shit ever, and about being slaves, unless it's willing. Hey, if you willingly overstand the whole system, and you get to see all this information, and you say, hey, I don't see nothing wrong with just going with the flow, letting master do what he do. Well, that do you. Hey, but for other people, some people gonna see and say, hold on, man, I ain't never really signed up for this shit like this to be like this. And I might want to do something about that. Might want to do something about that. But let's go and see about these geniuses and genius. So you got a group. This was actually interesting because I just skipped it. So there's some general practices used, however, and including the idea. So a monophily, all descendants of an ancestral taxon are grouped together. All right, reasonable compactness. A genus should not be expanded needlessly. So you shouldn't expand the group, the thing within the group without a real cause. It shouldn't be jumping castes or growing too much. Distinctness. With respect to evolutionarily relevant criteria, ecology, morphology, and biogeography. Where the button at? What the fuck? Biogeography. Biogeography. What the fuck? That's first time I've seen that one. Is the study of the distribution, okay, of species and ecosystems in geographic space. So they're studying how species and ecosystems. So species was the largest group of beings. So the largest group of the organization and ecosystems. Oh, so they're talking about how the whole nation. So the species is a nation. They didn't put the nation at the bottom of the thing. Come on, man. This is easy to see. They say the largest group is the species. The largest group is the species, right? The largest group is the species, and they didn't put the species at the bottom. And they didn't study how the largest group, which is a nation, the kingdom, it's a synonym that we're going to say is our nation. They didn't study how we move along with our ecosystems, the money systems. They call this biogeography. What's going on around here? That sounds like fucking spies to me. It sounds like some spies to me, watching you, seeing how you move as a group of people, right? In geographic space and through geological time. Organisms and biological communities often vary in a regional fashion along geographical gradients and latitudes. So they say this same knowledge, as we seen earlier, they talk about this shit like they talking about fucking viruses as well. They look at people like viruses. Fuck is you talking about? This is the same group of knowledge that they use for viruses, and they look at people and species and genius and family as viruses, man. Like, this is crazy, like viruses. And there's a they, we'll get to that. Species genius, okay, family. We was talking about family. It says family is one of the 9 major hierarchical taxonomic ranks in, here we go. Now we're going to get into some, like, who is the they, okay? Because there's just groups of trainings of thoughts, okay? I'm here to say this, that it's known that at a certain time in history, and many different times in history, groups of beings, groups of men, groups of slaves and or beings, to overthrow the royals, came up with their own shit many times. And in order to come up with like mindsets, they had to come up with whole different ways of looking at life in order to get the people to move a certain way. Because it's like, hey, if you living in the world where you got royals over, you know what I'm saying, you got royal families and royal households, not royal households according to the modern English terminology, royal households laying down the law, you might be a king in a medieval household according to the terms. And you a king, you got slaves and shit, and you know, like for instance, the founding fathers feeling like a king, a landlord, lord of the land. You feel me? You got the grand shit. You can do your thing, right? Yeah, you got a master, but he's so far off. You feel like the king. You feel like the master over here. You the king. And now you get to a situation where you like, man, I don't even want to have to be fucking subservient to dude no more. And then that situation, you have to come up with a whole different group of thought. What I'm gonna say to my people, what I'm gonna say to these people for them to agree that they should not fuck with dude no more, not fuck with the crown no more, not bow down no more, not listen to the royal families no more. You feel me? The royal household no more. And it could be the same for the household. The household being a whole group of families. I mean, a whole family that's the whole group of slaves to the nobleman who's under the king. And they can say, hey, look, man, fuck nobleman, man, fuck the noble. We got to do what we got to do. Now, what type of group of thinking? So it's been in history, throughout history, it's been shown and proven that men have come up with groups of ways of thinking and constructs, social constructs and ideas to literally create certain realities. And we'll get into that in a more technical way a little later. All right? Literally. No joke. It's all being revealed. So they say a family is that. An order is one of the 8 major ones too. It's classified between family and class. Biological classification. The order is a taxonomic rank used in the classification of organisms recognized by the nomenclature codes. Okay. And immediately higher. Okay, let's go into this. Because you know, when you think about orders, now you think of the order of the brotherhood and the secret societies, be talking like orders, the order. And yes, they do be attempting to act like they over all the families, you know what I'm saying? Over the families. You see what I'm saying? The families being slaves and servants and shit. So order, Latin, is one of the 8 major ones, right? They say. An immediate higher rank, super order. Is sometimes added directly above order, with suborder directly beneath order. So sometimes you got a super order, order, suborder. And then under that, family. Okay? An order can also be defined as a group of related families. Order also may be a group of related families, where in that sense, they all slaves, according to modern English. So in essence, it is what it is. What does and does not belong to each order is determined by a taxonomist, as is whether a particular order should be recognized at all. So yeah, there's sometimes the order they try not to recognize the order. And when you think about this, even on a religious situation, right? You got different orders of churches, different orders of rites, like they may call it a rite. Yeah, RITE. It's this different order of a group of a religious group. If some don't recognize the other, some recognize the other, some don't recognize the order. And then in this case, maybe an order can be considered, you know, I mean, many things. Nevertheless, you can see in the hierarchy, order is above family. Nevertheless, it is below class. So let's see what class is. Oh, we're going to get to tribe because that's interesting as well. This is a biological concept, though. Biology. And this is a science that's created. And it don't gotta be the truth. It literally could be a perspective that people follow. It's an idea. There are no hard rules that a taxonomist needs to follow in describing or recognizing the order. There you go. As like clear as day as it could be. There's no hard rules you got to follow in order to recognize an order or a family. It's just know there's some slaves out there. They're slaves. As long as they're slaves to the lie, to the domain. Oh, they got life above domain over here. The hierarchy of biological classifications. Huh? Interesting. Let's keep going here because I know where we're headed in the next 15 to 20. It's pretty interesting. What does this all got to do with you and your family? It got a lot because it's not just based on how you look at yourself, but this word is also based on how people look at us that we're dealing with. And in law, what laws are they following? Because in their law, if they literally looking at us like some slaves, that would answer a lot of questions without us having to ask them. And then we can see, okay, in what situation do we do what we got to do to whereas we, even if they consider us that, we don't consider us that. And then maybe there's a way where they don't even consider us that. You know, there's levels to everything. So That's why it's important to do this types of research to understand this. So outside of order, what we got here? Class. A class is a group of related orders. All right, man. Other well-known ranks in descending order of size are life, domain, kingdom. So these are well-known ranks in descending order of size. So they're ranks of classes in descending orders of size. They say descending order of size. If it's descending, then why is species at the bottom when they say species is the largest group? It says, see, even in their definition, see, they got to break their own laws of their definitions because that shit don't make no sense. It literally says other well-known ranks in descending order of size. In descending order of size. If it's descending order of size, that means that the smaller, the lower level, the smaller the group, right? If that's the case and it's descending order of size, and you got domains at the top and species at the bottom, that means species would be the smallest size, right? The smallest size group of the organization. But when you go and you look at species, it says what? Often defined as the largest group of organisms in which any two individuals of the appropriate sexes mating types can produce fertile offspring. So it's the largest group of organisms in which people can reproduce, or any types of being can reproduce. So the largest group of reproducing type of beings is a species. And if that's the case, why are they trying to say, class? Why are they trying to say that at the bottom is the least amount, is descending order anyway? They just trying to convolute all this bullshit because it's some bullshit. They create some bullshit, gotta convolute the bullshit to make sure you try to confuse you with the bullshit so much that you think that you not smart. You know, literally. It's just confusion bullshit for slaves. A whole education system, a whole way of wording shit, a whole fucking matrix of reality of fake shit that's real as fuck as long as you follow and you believe that it is what it is and you put your energy and life force into that shit. Boom. And now you got a phylum. What's a phylum? In botany, in terms of division, has been used instead of phylum. The term division, okay, has been used instead of phylum. Traditionally in botany, the term division has been utilized instead of phylum. Although the International Code of Nomenclature for algae, fungi, and plants accept the term as equivalent. So what the fuck is a phylum? It's a level of classification below kingdom and above class. Traditionally in botany, this is botany. So as you can see here, this is a classification system, and they got kingdom here. And when we think of kingdom, you know what we think about. We think about the kingdom of heaven, or the greatest kingdom, a group of nations coming together, making everything crack off. We know that, and they know, whoever they are, they know that that's what we think of. And this is what they actually got the laws based on, though. Some different type of shit, though, is what you think, and then what the fuck is in law. And if you think it's that way and you want to make it your law, then you have to come up with your law. You got to make your law and your words mean what they mean to you and your people. Create your own social compact, because this is some biological social compact mind shit. This ain't no factual of life, cosmic reality, what has to be type shit. This is some illusionary coming up with ideas and for the benefit clearly of the domain. Clearly in this system, this fucking taxonomic rank, if you got to choose which one you want to be in, which role you want to play, which group you want to be in, you wouldn't choose species at the bottom, even though everybody's part of a species. Now everybody gotta be slaves then. But you choose domain. I mean, if you have any type of energy of wanting to be free, say, hey, in this system, let me just be in the domain world. Fuck a family, fuck an order, a class, a phylum, a kingdom, a genus, and a species. According to the words how they determine here, I choose domain. Now, they say you can't jump out of they say, according to this system, this bullshit ass system, so you can't expand or jump out of the system you in. Ain't no morphology going around that motherfucker. Okay, let's keep going though, so we can get to where we're going. Because where we're going is literally to the place where we're going to actually show where these words came from. Because we read it. They said that it was a certain type of law, right? And it is here we go. In family is a biology, and these classification system. This is a certain system that people are following, and it's really a zoology. Now, when I seen this, I said, okay, now this shit finna really come home, man. If you're thinking you're a human, right? I am not a human being, first off, everybody. I feel way better saying it now and knowing it. I've always known I'm not a human being. And really, I don't care what you think about that no more, because let me show you what a human is in their terms, in a modern term, and even in the non-modern terms, something made of dirt. I'm not even his body according to the way I look at life, and I choose to look at life according to the way that I perceive the Most High looks at life. So I am not the body, and I dang sure ain't the dirt. And the man is a man of dirt, made of dirt. A being that's a man made of dirt. Okay, not to be confused with the International Commission of Zoological Nomenclature. Animal naming redirects here. For all other animal names, see list of animal names. You see how this shit is going already. Talking about animal naming redirects here. So to name some animals, you got to go ahead and operate according to the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. So this is a widely used accepted convention in zoology. 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 The whole fucking world is a zoo according to this shit. I'm just trying to tell you. Farms, farmland, animals, agriculture, reparations, slavery. You seeing how this shit, family, how this shit's coming together? Zoo, animals. Okay, it's a convention of zoology that rules the formal scientific naming of organisms treated as animals. So if you're an organism treated as an animal in the what they call is the modern English world, then this refers to you. So this refers to us. This refers to all of us. This refers to you, me. This refers to us when we're thinking that we're humans, when we're thinking that we're the beings that they label us. If you think that, then this refers to you. If you know better and you act like you know better and you put yourself in a better situation, first you got to know what a better situation is. If you don't think this is a good situation. And let's get deep. We're talking about zoo. It's clearly looking to me like some motherfuckers are acting like we some animals, y'all. Some animals on the farmland that literally needs to be treated like property and can be utilized as collateral for mortgages, y'all. This is the evidence that we're getting. This is the modern family structure that we're talking about here, y'all. We're talking about what is a family. The modern family structure is a slave-based structure where humans are animals. Let's see if that's literally can be backed up. Okay, how names are correctly established in the frames of binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. And they got a whale there. You know, animals are special. We all beings from different cosmic races, even us. Ain't nothing wrong with saying I identify with the fact that the energy of creation from the Most High that flows through me flows through other life forms. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Nevertheless, when you are talking about control and power and governance and force to create an artificial situation and to treat it as reality is just what it sounded like. It's an artificial reality at that point once you do that. artificial reality. We're going to get into that because this is wrapped up season. This is zoological nomenclature, independent of other systems. For example, is botanical nomenclature. So they got all these different ways of coding and looking at beings, right? So let's get into this. What's the difference between protozoans and metazoans? All right, really, because we got the kingdom of Animalia, the animal kingdom, y'all. The kingdom of Animalia. Now, some people will say, hey, what kingdom are you in? And people will be like, hey, I am on the kingdom of heaven on earth. That's a good one. That's a great one. That's the one to claim. You know, some people say I'm in the kingdom of England. Some people say I'm the kingdom of the cosmos. I'm in the constellation of love. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the Orion belt. I'm in the Milky Way galaxy. I claim that kingdom. Some people go and they claim, all types of realities. Nubaru. I'm claiming Nubaru, right? Some people claim all types of kingdoms, yet the kingdom of Animalia is what the fuck they got you under. They say you, whatever the fuck you talking about, your families, all of that shit, all these words you're utilizing, according to the terms that they have these things written as, you're a fucking slave. Don't matter how you put it. A slave in the worst way, not just a slave, not an indentured servant slave, a slave. You feel me? Not just Slavic. No, a fucking slave. Somebody can be utilized however Massa says and can be utilized as collateral for Massa's loans, so to get Massa out of debt. Because Massa's getting broke, going bankrupt. They belong to the kingdom of Animalia. Metazones. Let's look at what metazones are real quick. Because you got two types of these organisms. You got protozoans and metazoans. And up here, let's look at this difference real quick. The table below shows the difference between protozoans and metazoans, okay? And we're talking about organizational, biological constructs, okay? Biological, organizational constructs. That's what we got going on here. So protozoans, they are unicellular. Metazoans, they are multicellular. Protozoans, they belong to the kingdom of protista. Metazoans, they belong to the kingdom Animalia. Protozoans, they are microscopic in size. Metazoans, they are macroscopic and generally can be seen by the naked eye. Okay, protozoans, a single cell, performs all the biological functions such as respiration, digestion, osmoregulation, reproduction. A single cell, self-sustainable cell, sounds like to me. Metazoans, there is a well-defined division of labor. You got cells, specialized cells, and group into tissues, organs, and organ systems to perform various specialized functions. Hey, y'all, is it just me, or when we talking about this shit relates to damn near everything, or dang near everything. This stuff relates to pretty much everything. And when you think about organizing and making sense of things that really aren't to be made sense of, because this is, I don't want to get too deep, but I would just say this is all an illusion. The concepts themselves are ideas that have been came up with some beings. As we can see, this is a way of thought, of thinking. Some people try to, hey, I label this like this, and organize like this. Based on this, I'm saying it's this. But it may not be none of that. Let's look at the basis and the elemental of all things, and we'll see as a source to this 3D reality. They call it hydrogen. Then you got protons, electrons, neutrons, atoms. You understand what I'm trying to say? At the end of the day, all things made up of all of them. So whether it's metazoans, protozoans, the animal kingdom, or kingdom, or if you know, God on the earth, royal household, or a regular household, or a medieval household, at the end of the day, atoms, protons, photons, electrons, magnetism. And you feel me? That's what we're dealing with. It don't matter which label. Nevertheless, when you're living under the English system, it's good to understand what the English system is perceiving you to be. So a metazoan believed to be evolved after protozoans. Sexual reproduction is the principal mode of reproducing. And when you're talking about the protozoans, they can reproduce asexually and other sexual methods, right? So when you think about that, and you think about, say, how the vessel that we operate with functions, we would say, hey, somebody observed the vessel and vessels like this and just said they metazoans under that system of thinking. And what is this system of thinking? As we can see, it is what? This is the International Code of Zoology, zoological nomenclature. Zoological nomenclature, which means ways of organizing animals. Now, there's a part of me that understands and perceives and knows that I am a reflection of the Most High, and I am the Most High in the sense that I am a piece of the Most High, literally, like a piece of the Most High. And in that realization, none of this shit relates. And the realization that I am one with and of and in and I am that which the Most High is. This system, this whole matrix of classification, let's just say, is beneath that perspective. Lawfully, legally, and all, it's not the same. Nevertheless, and that's what I would call cosmic law, right? Which is in operation full force consistently. This is colonization law 101. Colonization law 101. And we living in a world where the doctrine of discovery has been repudiated, but that ain't the same as recension. And we got a lot of talk about reparations, but that ain't the same as having a nation and sovereignty in royal households, as we see. But let's go and see something, because we won't wrap up here. We in the wrap up phase of what is a family. According to this situation, now we're into the actual International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature, okay, code. Okay, we into the actual international code now that this Linnean taxonomy codifies. Is a codified version of the Linnean taxonomy, and this is the taxonomy, which is a way of organizing organisms, okay, that the world is following. It's a form of biological classification set up by Carl Linnaeus. So this nigga looking like the Quaker Oak man. Hold on, this is, look at, and I guarantee you, every time I see, hold on, let me show the screen. Every time I see these old images of paintings, I know that it ain't even real. First off, what I mean by it ain't real, I'm talking, they had cameras back then, man. That's all I gotta say. They had cameras, man. That's all I gotta say. They had cameras, buddy. Carl Linnaeus, also known as after ennoblement in 1761 as Carl von Linné, was a Swedish biologist and physician who formalized binomial nomenclature, the modern system of naming organisms. So a modern system, this is a modern system, which means a fucking fake matrix system. He's known as the father of modern taxonomy. But it became a real system, but it's a fake system. It's something niggas is trying to get out. Niggas been trying to get out. That motherfuckers is escaping of all races. Because race, that's the whole part of this taxonomy. Fuck that shit. Literally, I'm trying to say, when you get to some point you can get set free. And you can set yourself free by literally realizing these are a bunch of concepts that have been put over our eyes to blind us from the truth. literally live out and reproduce the lie. In the lie, in order for the whole reality of the diamond of the world to just be set upside down. Just period. Just upside down that shit. So he's known as the father of modern taxonomy. This is the nigga who did it. Swedish biologist, physician, at least they say, right? He lived abroad between 1735. Abroad from where? Abroad from Sweden, right? Between 1735 and 1738, where he studied and also published the first edition of Systema Naturae. So this is one of the major works. And long story short, I guarantee this is him organizing this bullshit. Well, first off, let me say it's not bullshit. I don't want to say bullshit. The method in which that they're utilizing this is bullshit, but it ain't. I don't say naturally it's bullshit to organize just to come up with some understanding of things in the world. It's not bullshit, y'all. It's not bullshit to make sense of what you're experiencing. I ain't gonna say the system in and of itself is bullshit. I would, though, say the way in which societies in the modern English political system and the popes went into organizing the world and its hierarchies and caste systems, I wouldn't say they're unnecessary, but I would say there's some bullshit involved. Because also organizing is necessary. Having responsibilities is necessary. In some situations, having hierarchies are necessary. Nevertheless, the high utilization and reliance upon ignorance in order to capitalize and denationalize and the seats is rampant and unnecessary. It's time for those who have arisen to go ahead and walk right back on into their royal positions, because I perceive at this point, if we keep on researching, all the royal households can and shall just come on back. Royal households, imperial households, because it seems to me that all of these current leaders of these governments were more than likely medieval households, kings of the land, but subservient to the royal households. And I perceive the royal households as who the true royal families are, who are being misrepresented and misidentifying as some of the lowest, you know what I'm saying, as some of the lowest in these class structures. And it was by design, in this specific design, this mind matrix of colonialized taxonomy, which it was first documented in the Systema Naturae. It sounds like natural system, huh? Make you feel like something natural. And it may be a good natural system. They could have perverted a natural system. I'm not here to say this man was on some bullshit. I'm here to say that, yeah, this system is here, and this system has been utilized to currently justify the deceitful and fraudulent enslavement of divine beings. I wouldn't say human beings. That's a misnomer. Some people are human beings, but I'm sure all people are not human beings. Well, all beings are not human beings. Okay, you get into the system of nature, and this is where you organize different classes, right? Different genes, different species, character traits, and things of this nature of them. But let's get into the modern format, right? International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. This is where we're at. And we're going to just look at a few terms according to it, so we can even see how they justify this shit. The shit that we know we got to get out of. The slavery that we be feeling and we know we got to get up out of for ourselves and our family. And our family, the way we perceive the word family meaning our loved ones and those that we love, not meaning no motherfucking slaves. You feel me on that? Unless you perceive you a slave and this system is good and you like how this system roll as it is right now and the role that you play in it. If not, then do something about it. Either in that system, go ahead, be a royal family, a royal household, acknowledge that part of you, do and accept the responsibility that comes with, Or in that modern system, if you in it and you playing by the role, hey man, willing slavery. If you want to be a willing slave, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna check out the Code Online, International Commissions on Zoological Nomenclature. Let's look at a few definitions and keep on going. On out of here. Formations and treatment of family group names. Now we're gonna just break it down. We did a lot. See, we went through 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get to this point. Because if we just came out and I say, okay, look, families are slaves and they treat you like animals. And here goes the evidence. Well, that's a cool way. That's a cool way for a short form video. I might do that. Chop up one, boom, real quick. At the end of the day, I perceive that it's good to have a background, have an understanding of the backdrop. Oh man, I've been over here doing my tea. They ain't gonna let my tea all go out, man. I still got enough for a good cup, good glass. Man. Good glass. Good glass coming through. Family group name, though. We finna check out this family name stuff. We still talking about families. Formation and treatment of family group names. A family group name is to be formed and treated in accordance. And this is, and he said it is to be formed and treated. So this is their law. This is the international law, according to zoological nomenclature. And man, have we been under this system and not knowing it for quite some time. Some people have been knowing, some people have not been knowing. And then some people might want to do something about this and make sure that they're under a system that they have more control of, and where the words mean what they think it mean. And you know, when they communicating, things is adding up to their perspective. Or you might just want to keep on going down the flow. Either way, check it out. What does it say? Formation and treatment of family group names. So it should be treated in accordance with Article 11.7. Okay. Article 11.7 says a family group name, when first published, must meet all the following criteria. They talk about publishing in this zoological nomenclature. It must be a noun in the nominative plural form, formed from a stem of an available generic name. Okay, so before I get too deep like that, let's just go ahead and go down the flow, though, so you can know what a generic name is and all that. A family group name must be formed in accordance to how they say, right? And it's based upon an unjustified emendation or an incorrect spelling of the name of the type genus must be corrected unless it is preserved under Article 29, right? Okay, this is not the definitions. Let's application of family group names. The application for each family group name is determined by reference to the type of genus and nominal taxon. Okay. Family group definition. The family group encompasses all nominal taxa at the ranks of superfamily, family, subfamily, tribe, subtribe, and any other rank below superfamily and above genus that may be desired. Oh, wow, y'all. So they saying tribes, and all tribes is a part of the family group. What do you think that means? Don't that make some sense as to why they've been treating all these tribes and self-proclaimed tribes like they ain't shit? Because a tribe, according to them, is a part of a family group, which is some slaves. A tribe is all in there too. Before I go even deeper to that, let's go in here and read that, because I skipped over that. Real quick though, let's check out what tribe is. Tribe, biologically, a tribe is a taxonomical rank above genus but below family. It is sometimes subdivided into sub-tribes, okay? In zoology, the standard ending for the name of a zoological tribe is any, okay? Examples include the tribes Caprini, Homonini, Bombini, and Thuneni. The tribe Homonini is divided into sub-tribes by some scientists. Sub-tribe Homonina then comprises humans. The standard ending for the name of zoological subtribe is "ina." Zoological subtribes. I'm finna do. Man, listen. Let's just rank recognition. Any equivalent suffices the animal tribe. Any. Ina, the animal subtribe. Inie is a subfamily. Ie is a suborder. Eie, bacteria, plant, algae, fungi, but not animals. Everything else could be some animals. Accordingly, working within animals alone, subfamily Inia, tribe Ini, and subtribe Ina are unique suffixes to the specific taxonomic ranks. All right, that's getting all of that. But let's get to, and that's just to show that even a tribe, man, they got under this shit as if it is a whole, according to English, modern English, it fits the category, under the category of family, man, slave shit. I wanted to read off a couple definitions here. Let's go. Yeah, I like it here. We're going to read off of some of these definitions, man, and see how they got it. So kingdom, the highest ranked category employed in taxonomic hierarchy. Okay? The highest ranked category in taxonomic hierarchy. They still get taxed, still some slave shit, even a kingdom. Fuck. Crazy. And man, it's wow. So we just gotta escape the whole taxonomic hierarchy, y'all. According to our definition structures and our terms that we have and come up with, and even if we utilize similar terms, we must define them as different and show that they're not part of this taxonomic system. Because shit, they didn't got us brainwashed searching for the kingdoms, and the kingdom is a part of the taxonomic system. If they make you think that you're searching for the kingdom and the kingdom ain't nothing but the highest form of slavery, you're still a slave at your highest wishes, even your highest dreams. That's crazy. And this is a social way of really getting somebody into your mind matrix. This is a mind matrix that they have made people enter into. And it ain't even like they are bad beings, because there's so many theys, right? Some people could have just been researching, developing, and organizing some, or observing and realizing things and coming up with systems. Then some people could have looked at those words and say, this is a cool way of organizing things. It'll be amazing if we made all that shit some slaves and we say we something else. Boom. You feel me? Now we got a mindset so we can get people to go out and relentlessly and without feeling bad or without stopping themselves, go out and just kill a whole bunch of motherfuckers and take a bunch of shit for us. Sounds about like what their history is. And could be our history as well. Could be everybody's history or our story. And we got to get this shit together. Get this shit right. Okay, now they're talking about name. Name, a word or ordered sequence of words conventionally used to denote and identify a particular entity, a person, place, object, or concept. Equivalent to scientific name, an element of the name of a species group taxon. So it's an element of the name of them species group taxons. You know, we just went over taxon, which is a group of just groups of ideas of groups of beings, and ideas of groups and organisms. That's all according to the people who created all these terms are slaves of them. Available name, a scientific name applied to an animal taxon that is not excluded under Article 1.3 and that conforms to the provisional provisions of Article 10 and 20. Read it for yourself to find out what those articles are. And this is, I showed y'all what this is, but you can go to code.iczn.org. Check it out. Family name or name of a family name. And I'm saying this because when we think of family name and names and families, we ain't been thinking slaves, y'all. This is my whole point for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I know that the label said your family is your tribe and you are part of the government, and that is the truth. Even in the slave concept, they're part of the government. They make sure that the people do what? Reinforce the concepts of that slave system, right? You see that happening a lot of times. But you're also a family's a tribe, and you're part of the government, and y'all could come up with y'all own type of governance, just like any other government did. And you could choose and elect to be a royal household. I perceive that's possible. I'm just saying, in that situation, okay, now you got to get that group of knowledge about sovereignty, get that group of knowledge about organizing yourself. And it's interesting in this realm, and the books here, and the rates in the knowledge that's given here, it states that this is the only celestial body out of all the celestial bodies throughout the galaxies. This is the only one where sovereignty, or the idea of sovereignty, exists. It's the only one where the idea of property ownership and owning some land exists. They state, according to the documents that's written on this land, in the space treaties and the law of space and the law of astronauts and all of that, hey, according to all of that, you can't go in no other space, no other celestial body, and talk about claiming and owning no land. But here is all good. According to their way of looking at the world, remember that, and you can have your own way of looking at the world. We'll get to that. Family name, scientific name of a taxon at the rank of family, which we know some slave shit. Family group name, got to be some slave shit. Generic name, a scientific name of a taxon at the rank of genus. Genus group name. Now, which organization in America, that, you know, a lot of people watch this in the United States of America, that's the target market for a lot of people. Which group, I wonder, in America is in charge of documenting who utilized this zoological type of knowledge in America? Okay. Let's just see that real quick. Generic name, USA agency database. Let's just see which US agency got the database of these generic names. Here we go. I think the Food and Drug Administration is going to have something to do with it. So they got the authorized list of generic drugs. U.S. Food and Drug Administration, huh? Let's see. Now let's be a little bit more specific. Generic name, USDA, family names. Let's just say family names, generic names, species names. Hey, USDA plants database. Okay, so if they got the plant database, hey, taxonomy 101 is about zoology. Talking about plants, we're talking about animals, talking about the kingdom, the animal kingdom, and now it's the kingdom plante, the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. Talk about classifications. We're talking about family. We're talking about sovereignty. We're talking about royal households, medieval households. We can talk about some notes and some bonds and some loans and some mortgages and some collaterals and some people used as property, all trying to find out what the family is. And we see shit got something to do with slavery. So the USDA is categorizing the plants. So I wonder if they're doing the kingdom of animals too. So let's do USDA, kingdom of Animalia. Let's see if we can get some hits here. Here we go. Taxon, U.S. Department of Agriculture. I'm trying to tell some people, they didn't want to listen, that the USDA got something to do with this shit. Especially in the United States Department, you know, the United States of America. Now, in every other country, some other branch, some other agency got something to do with this. And this is how they get there. They legalize what we talking about legalizing. Y'all remember? This whole shit is about what? Legalizing taking of property from indigenous people, y'all. Fuck you talking about? We read it. This whole system of what we're reading, the whole classification system and everything is all based on what? It's all about what? It's about taking land from Aboriginal and indigenous persons. And to legalize it, to make it lawful, we got to come up with all of this type of shit. And it's what? In America, you got it under the animal and plant kingdom, health inspection services, and they try to make it seem like it's only about animals on the farm. But broski, we have read and we see a little something different. Taxonomic classification levels, they talking about them all here. We've been reading. Animalia kingdoms, phylum, class, orders, family. This is of one thing, though. This is specifically this. This is an animal in the animal kingdom. Olipa. I wonder if you're gonna have a human being. If I put human being in this mug, is they gonna show? Because I mean, it's already some evidence for us. I just want to see if they just make it too simple, man. You look classification of humans, and it goes right to collection of plants and animals. You notice for New Zealand, it's the same all over the world in these republics. All right, the animal kingdom, kingdom of Animalia. Do your own research and keep looking, y'all. See animal kingdom, Animalia phylum, classifications of kingdom plantae. Okay, so you got you classified and got people classified as animals. They got different names, inappropriate names. It denotes the character or quality of an origin not possessed by the taxon bearing that name. And taxon doesn't mean individual; it means group. So an inappropriate name is just, hey man, you giving them a name is characterizing them as something that they're not. At the end of the day, that's something that they're labeling according to them. All animals and plants is just some shit that they're in control of. New scientific name, available or unavailable when proposed for a taxon. It's all naming. So we didn't seen this, man. We didn't seen enough about kingdoms to realize that they got this shit. They got us fucked up. They got humans. See, look here. What kingdom do the humans belong to? Humans belong to the kingdom Animalia. Organisms belonging to kingdom Animalia are multicellular, eukaryotic, heterotrophic. Humans further belong to a class Mammalia, primitives, family, hominid, genus, Homo and sapiens. I am not a human being, man. I'm not. Matter of fact, just for man. Look. Hey, listen, man. I ain't. This ain't for getting monetized too much anymore. We're doing some research. I'm just gonna take a little. We need to take a second. We need to take a second to respect one of the first people in the mass public that was willing to say that they're not a human being. Let's do some research on that. Can we get about 5 minutes or 3 minutes of some good energy or some different energy real quick before we wrap this up? Because we done got a lot of information. Let's see what Lil Wayne had to say about this, y'all. Lil Wayne was one of the first to let us know. Not a human being. I mean, look, I got my antennas pointing up. Beep, 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 beep. Bro, I'm not claiming this human shit. This human shit looks like it's some bullshit. Looks like some bullshit to me. Fella. Everybody take a second. It's for educational purposes. We researching and we see one of the first humans to ever just let it be known. Cause shit is crazy. Shit is crazy. They got motherfuckers labeled as farm animals in this bitch. We skipping ads for sure. I don't know about YouTube and how it works and all of that. I do have an idea that this ain't good for some people, but I ain't attempting to get like monetized and have ads flying through the shit. That ain't what I'm doing this for. As long as this loads up, because it's taking an interesting amount of time right now. We're gonna have some little leaf here, but if not, man, look, y'all get it. Y'all bump some Lil Wayne real quick. I'm not a human being real quick, man, because that's how I'm feeling right now. So they ain't letting me do it right now, man. Apologize for that one. We're gonna X that one out. Maybe that's just the Most High saying, hey man, don't be talking about you ain't want to get monetized, bro. Look, let's just X that out. And let me show you a couple last little pointers on this family conversation and on the whole idea that this system has been created in this veil has been attempted, this veil of wording words differently, the zoology, everything's been labeled like this is just the world is a farm. If the world is a farm, who is the farmer? You feel me? Who is the farmer in this situation where they got everybody? It doesn't seem like that should be the reality. And and just to prove that this is literally just a bunch of bullshit to recreate another type of that we know we don't want to live, but that totally benefits a group of people that we are not. That's what this system was created for. It was created not for us, but it was created for the people at the top of that taxonomy system and for the beings who created this way of thinking, the whole way of thinking. Man, I had an article and it looks like I just deleted it, but what it's about is about division, right? Divide and conquer. How this whole system was created literally to divide and conquer. Classification, okay, and reclassifications to the point where even some of the best things that you think of, those words in law, are still slave shit, right? Divide and conquer via classification. And that's why the families right now feel divided. That's why the families right now feel like they need some help. People are ready to grow. Oh, wow. Yeah, people are ready to grow. People want to experience different things, a better way of life. Okay, and here we go. I ain't gonna get too deep into this because it's pretty much a wrap at this point. We're at the 3-hour mark. It's a wrap, Jack. This first one is a wrap. Yet I do want us to see why our families, tribes, and yes, you are part of the organization. You're part of the government of that tribe, even in the slave capacity when those are slave systems. You're still part of the government of that. You know what I'm saying? When you got another master, a master got a master you, a family, right? Now, at the same time, if you perceive that your family could be and should be self-sustainable and operating how it sees fit, handling its own affairs, doing things according to its own laws, then go ahead, step up and establish your royal household. That's what it's about. If you perceive you want to do that, you can go and holler at us because that's what we about. We about that type of tribing up. When we say tribing up, we tribing up. We tribing up. We talking about tribing up on some royal household type shit. Royal household type shit. Why is it downloading, broski? I just really want to open real quick. Can we get an open? Can we get an open? Or is you going down? Bros. Oh, fuck that. The computer downloading, it's all good. What we finna do right now to wrap this conversation up is literally just go ahead and show how this system was created to divide and conquer the masses again. I mean, we got enough evidence already, and we know what the fuck is going on. People can feel it. Now it's just being more specific. And yeah, if you hear and you checking this out, and you like, man, I thought I was just gonna get a course on some family and trust. Well, if you made it to this end, you at 3 hours in, this is definitely for you. You feel me? But it's good to understand that this shit ain't simple. It ain't simple. You know, the family trust, the family tribe. None of this is simple. If you think it's simple and you want it to be simple, then just stay a slave because there's a lot of benefits you can get as a slave. A lot of people, a lot of organizations, and a lot of beings is fighting for their benefits as slaves. And I'm not even being like sarcastic or facetious or any strange thing when I say that's okay. There's because according to the system, there's a lot of different types of slave masters. Some slave masters got you living good. You know, you let you live good. There's a lot of people who got the types of lifestyles that they perceive as good for them. That's their mission in life. This is cool. They satisfied with that. Some of us, we have different missions in life, and we wish to experience different levels of life and different things, different situations. That being a slave just does not allow us to experience. And for those of us, this type of information is important so that when we are doing the simple solutions, because there are some simple solutions, but when we are engaging in the simple solutions, we want to make sure that we're fully aware of what's going on, fully aware of what we're doing, fully aware of the capabilities we have, and fully aware of why the system is what it is. Okay. That's the last time I'm going to do that there. But let's go ahead and read this paragraph here and let me and put it in my terms as well, because because it is going to be interesting. Why is it not letting me see this? I'm going to remove this and man, I don't know how to show y'all this. It was just popped up. That's crazy. But let me just read this real quick then. It says divide and conquer, classification using decisions, trees, and rules. It says to make a difficult decision, some people weigh their options by making lists of pros and cons for each possibility. Suppose the job seeker was decided between several offers. This is not. That's probably why it wasn't popping up. This is not what I was looking for. Definitely not it. Here we go. All right. And this is the divide and conquer. Neuro evolution for multi-class classification is what it says, y'all. You can Google that. I don't know what's going on at this very moment. Let me see if I can click to let y'all see this screen real quick to wrap this up. It's so many tabs, and that may be the issue too. Me selecting one of these, finding out which one this mug is right now is going crazy. I'm just going, okay, reclassification. I'm just going to read this literally. Yeah, I'm just going to read this. You can Google if you want to find the article. It's going to be pretty simple because it has an interesting title, and the title is Divide and Conquer Neuroevolution for Multi-Class Classifications. All right. For some reason, oh wow. For some reason, right now, let me put it at the bottom of the screen so if anybody wants to Google that, they can pull that up. All right. So that's literally what you can Google, and you will be able to see this article. It's going to pull up, right? Because it's a unique type of wording. So divide and conquer, neuroevolution for multi-class classification. Now remember, it's saying neuroevolution. So the neuros, the mind, how the mind works, the evolution of the mind for classification systems where there's multi-classes. Remember, there was a story of a group of people being so powerful that they chose to, you know what I'm saying, they were going to build a kingdom in a tower, the Tower of Babel story, where some people didn't want them to accomplish that goal, so they divided them to conquer them so that they would not reach the heavens and be one with the God. Now that's to have somebody change how they operate and how they think is neuroevolution, whether that happens naturally or whether that happens due to society input, and whether that happens due to some people creating a bunch of concepts and ideas and then educating the masses on that consistently with the use of force through, you know, international terroristic campaigns in the name of doctrine of discovery of Christianity or anything that you can come up with to control some people. All of that's neuroevolution in the name of sociology, psychology, education, anything. So neuroevolution is a powerful and general technique for evolving the structure and weights of artificial neural networks. So it's neural networks that's artificial. So it's fake neural networks. It's not the natural way the neurals will work. It's not the natural way you would think about a family. It's not the natural way you would live your life, like you're living your life in a certain way right now. Our families is fucked up and shit. And we're living this way, and society's dealing with us, and we have these things going on, and we wish to adjust, but they're like this because people are perceiving these concepts, and they're perceiving these concepts are real, and these concepts are true, and they're acting like these concepts are real. Whether these concepts are being taught to them, and they don't come and just say, hey, the family's a slave. They don't have to say that. What they do is create systems, all around systems of education to give you a bunch of synonyms. They don't say slave, but they tell you what you can and can't do. They show you what you can and can't do, what you should and shouldn't do, how you should and shouldn't operate. And you do this in all these different systems in the society, because these are organisms and organizations for biological beings. So if you have, it's for the body, it's for the biological person. And this right here, to me, is not biological. This isn't a biological thing to me. Now, to you, it may be. To that system, it may be, if you're utilizing that knowledge. But then there's some knowledge that says that this is a force field. This is energy. This is an energy. The thing isn't even real. If you respect, it's not what it seems to be. It is what it is. It seems to be a human. It seems to be some dirt. It seems to be a body. It seems to be a vessel like this in this way. Nevertheless, it is energy. It's particles, because a particle, when it's not observed, it's just a waveform. So this is I'm waveform. Waveform. Wow. Only seem to be what I seem to be upon observation. So as you observe me, or as something observes it, as me, my higher self observes me, the world observes me, life observes me, you observe me, then I am what I seem to be. Yet what I am is the same that anything is, and all things are, and even things that are not things are. That's a truth. That's an actual truth in a way of life, a way of thinking that will have you moving a certain way, operating a certain way, having different social compacts, feelings and ideas and relationships and character traits. All types of things are affected by your neural network, by how you perceive ideas are. And literally, to divide and conquer, they had to come up with had to restructure neural networks, had to get your neural networks to operate different so that you and your family, the way that you perceive your family is the way that those Aboriginal Americans was operating, how they was living. Like ain't no subjugation gonna be going on around this motherfucker. See what I'm saying? So instead of all that, ain't no subjugation going on. They found a way, evidently, to have people in a situation where right now subjugation is the norm for a lot of people. Nevertheless, it's a new day, it's a new age. So if you made it to 311, 54, 55, then you already part of that new age, a new world that is being developed. And this is part one of what is a family. Yes, a family is a tribe, and you are a very vital part of that government of the tribe. Nevertheless, it may be an important part of tribe business to really define what type of tribe y'all are, what type of family y'all are, what systems y'all going to be classified under, and choose to be classified under or choose not to be classified under. Because as long as you choose to be classified as a family and a tribe the way that the modern English system classifies you, which takes effect and has effect in your everyday life, housing, food, the way your education system, political structure, the way you treat it. If you wish and choose to be treated in a different way, then these words are going to have to mean something different to you. You're going to have to document what these words mean to you. And you're going to have to act like them and get some people to act like them with you. And then you'll have a family that you know you deserve to have.